knowledgeable about their particular type of case really helps the client and also usually ends up making the case or the claim more successful. To get your free copy of any of my Washington accident books, visit WashingtonAccidentBooks.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Reutin, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
Lori here from Guardian Roofing, Gutters, and Insulation, where we stand by our quality gutter and gutter guard systems with a 30-year no-clog guarantee on all gutter guard systems we install. Call today and get $250 off gutter guard installation or visit us at guardianroofing.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO Newsradio, KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Steve Kathan. New visa restriction policies emerging from the State Department. One will apply to foreign officials and people who are, quote, complicit in censoring Americans. Another stops the scheduling of new visa interviews for foreign students. CBS's Natalie Brand says that's billed as temporary as screening of social media activity is expanded.
It's hard to really know how this impacts those students who are going to be waiting for appointments, how long this pause in interviews lasts. But we do know that, the administration has taken action against other student visa holders. There have been various court cases, and many of them successful.
For the third straight time, a destructive failure of a SpaceX Starship rocket has raised questions about when it will be ready to fly astronauts. Elon Musk offers this timetable.
If we're lucky, we've probably got about a 50% chance of sending ships from Earth to Mars at the end of next year, so November, December next year, in about 18 months.
Well, CBS's Jason Allen on today's Setback.
From the new officially named city of Starbase, Texas, SpaceX's Starship successfully lifted off, but flew into trouble minutes later. As the booster returned to Earth, a flash of flame erupted. People watching from Texas beaches could see the booster explode in the air.
Israel said today recent strikes in Gaza killed a top Hamas leader, Mohammed Sinwar. The Capitol Police Chief is retiring this week. Thomas Manger took over the department after the January 6th attack.
It was, I think, a slap in the face to every police officer that was here.
CBS's Scott McFarland.
This is a historic tenure at a fragile moment. It was a traumatized police department after the U.S. Capitol siege that was understaffed and faced the mission of ensuring no other attacks on the Capitol happen again. Thomas Manger rebuilt some of that staff. He increased the budget for the department. They're going to ask for $1 billion next year to better secure the Congress, the Capitol, and members of Congress as they travel the country.
More testimony of the Sean Combs sex trafficking trial from a former assistant, Capricorn Clark. CBS's Katrina Kaufman.
There were two instances where she claims she was kidnapped. One is she was in possession of some diamond jewelry. She reported that it had gone missing, and she said over the course of 5 days, she was brought to a dilapidated building and subjected to lie detector tests. The man there, she said, told her that if things didn't get figured out, she would end up in the East River.
And checking Wall Street, right now the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 130. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Protesters and counter-protesters face off again. We'll tell you what happened. But first, from the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk. In Seattle, the disabled vehicle's been moved to the right lane on northbound I-5 at Dearborn. You are backed up past Boeing Field. Travel time Federal Way to Seattle, 76 minutes, 13 longer than usual. And we are not ready to put this commute to bed. Everett to Seattle will take you 68 minutes, 12 longer than typical. Renton to Bellevue, 53, 10 longer. And you're still pumping brakes across the I-90 bridge and over Mountain Lake on the 520. Traffic brought to you by KIRO Newsradio.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. They faced off again.
Trans rights are under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Those counter-protesters and members of a conservative church clashed in front of Seattle City Hall yesterday. 8 people arrested. Counter-protesters say those conservatives are anti-LGBTQ. Conservatives say they were attacked and they're angry at how the mayor has handled all of this. On Saturday, 23 people were taken into custody during a similar clash at Cal Anderson Park. Seattle police are investigating 2 separate shootings overnight. A 42-year-old man was shot in the Chinatown International District around 11. Just hours later, officers say a man was shot after he interrupted someone breaking into his car. Both victims taken to Harborview, no arrests. Sonic star Sean Kemp is expected to be sentenced in August. He pleaded guilty after opening fire in the Tacoma Mall parking lot in 2023. KIRO 7 TV's Brandon Thompson reports.
Kemp pleading guilty to 1 count of second-degree assault, a felony.
When he pleaded guilty, he admitted to committing an assault.
Kemp and his attorneys say he was trying to track down his stolen phone and other stolen things. Both Kemp's attorneys and prosecutors will advocate for a sentence, but the agreement means Kemp could not face any prison time.
But because Kemp pleaded guilty to a felony, the State Liquor and Cannabis Board will review whether he can still be part owner of 2 pot shops. Firefighters are battling a wildfire in Chelan County. The Second Creek wildfire is burning on about 63 acres. Photos from the Department of Natural Resources show smoke rising near power lines about 8 miles north of Leavenworth. This comes as Washington's snowpack is melting at an alarming rate. KIRO News Radio meteorologist Ted Biener.
All of western Washington now is abnormally dry, and if you look at the central and northern Cascades, they are currently in moderate drought.
Which means the fire season could be a rough one. We are seeing some of the lowest tides of the year in the Puget Sound region. KIRO 7 TV found people checking out critters that are usually covered up by the water at Alki Beach.
Lots and lots of crabs. I love the seagrass, herring eggs and moon snails.
I'm really revved up about this purple starfish. He's gorgeous.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs around 80 degrees. It's 61 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning, everybody. Woohoo! Happy Wednesday, May 28th. And today, Ursula, is supposed to be, so far, the hottest day of the year. 2025. You came dressed for it, too.
I sure did.
You look springy. No, it's summer.
Why?
No, it ain't summer yet. It's still spring.
Yeah, it is still spring.
It's still spring?
Yeah. We only had the unofficial start of summer.
Yeah.
With Memorial Day.
No,
yeah, it's not till June that we officially get into summer. Don't rush my summer.
I need to ask you this. This is a message only for Gen X and baby boomers.
Okay.
Do you still subscribe to the rule? No white before or after, so before Memorial Day or after Labor Day.
No.
Are you still in it?
Life's too short.
Oh.
Nope. I wear white when I want to wear white.
Remember that awesome white jacket she had?
Yes.
Yeah, it's great.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
I like white.
Okay, what kind of show we going to have today?
Okay, we're going to have a fun show because coming up at 9:30. Okay, when I say, hey, G.
Yeah.
Love your outfit. What is your response?
I love your outfit.
Okay, that's rude. We're going to talk about etiquette. Apparently, that's rude. We'll talk about that coming up at 9:30. What are some of your biggest pet peeves when it comes to etiquette? Share that with us on our text line, 888-973-5476.
Yeah.
888-973. KIRO, I want to talk about the fun stuff, including the weather and all that, because we're about to go deep on some stories.
Wait, I thought you said we was going to have fun all
we
show.
are going to have fun. We are going to have fun.
Okay, but
I got to get to the news.
Okay. All right. Ursula's top stories of the day, brought to you by Bath Fitter Northwest.
8 people were arrested during dueling protests outside Seattle City Hall yesterday. On one side of the street, members and supporters of the LGBTQ plus community. On the other side, far-right Christian activists and their supporters who called their demonstration the Rattle in Seattle. These same groups, as you know, clashed on Saturday at Cal Anderson Park, where nearly 24 people were arrested after that scene turned violent. Andrew Conley Holcomb with the United Church of Christ showed up to support the LGBTQ community.
Love is louder. Love your neighbor out loud. Our message is very clear. God's love and Jesus' love is for everybody. Love is louder than hate, and these Christians do not represent us.
Unlike what happened on Saturday, Seattle police were able to use barriers to keep the protesters separated, and they prevented the crowd from really getting out of hand. Pastor Russell Johnson with the Pursuit Church led yesterday's protest. He is demanding that Mayor Bruce Harrell apologize to the Christian community for labeling them as extreme right-wing antagonists in the mayor's statement following Saturday's chaos. And he says if the mayor doesn't apologize, he wants him to resign. And now, FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino tweeted last night that he is calling for an investigation into what he says was targeted violence against religious groups at that Seattle event last Saturday.
Ursula, what was the goal in the first place? The first goal, the permit, the rally was going to be, the quote was, don't mess with our kids.
Right.
That was the message.
Yeah, on Saturday.
All right. So you helped me through this, Ursula. So they wanted to come. They wanted to come into Seattle, and they wanted to have a rally, and they wanted to talk about don't mess with our kids.
Yeah.
Help me. Who are they talking to?
They are talking basically to, or who are they talking about?
Yeah, when they say don't mess with our kids, and that's their message. And
Yeah,
by the way, if you're listening,
they don't want kids to become trans. I mean, essentially. So who are they talking to? Anyone who's going to listen.
Right. So, right.
Okay,
so,
who do you think they're talking to?
No. You're right.
Yes.
So they're talking to the trans community. They're telling them, don't mess with our kids, right? And so when they say mess with our kids, let's go statistically speaking, just so we want to, because Ursula likes to deal in facts. Most child molestations are committed by heterosexual males. Your son and or daughter is safer around the trans community than heterosexual males, statistically. Look it up. So I wanted to make sure, if we're talking about don't mess with our kids, I just want to make sure your message and who you're talking to don't demonize the trans community. I just want to go from the start. Now, where we are right now and where we have gone, this is what I initially think the whole plan was from the start, was to cause chaos. They knew that counter-protesters would show up. They knew that within the counter-protesters, people that were probably there to be like, yo, we don't rock like this. This is the city of Seattle. We embrace our LGBTQ community. What happened was you have agitators that was in there that makes it worse. So agitators within the counter-protesters that kind of there to cause trouble, which we know protesters have them. So now you have this back and forth, and now you have the federal government looking into this. That's the goal. That's the win.
Goal accomplished.
That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
The same thing that's happening here, and when in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, when they let Derek Chauvin, the one that murdered George Floyd, when they let him walk out the door, they want people to go in the streets. They want them to protest. This is what the Trump regime wants.
Well, I want to talk a little bit about Mayday USA. That's the group behind these rallies. And one of the things that they say is they refuse, this is a quote, to stand idly by while the children of our nation are indoctrinated by a liberal, political, and sexual agenda that seeks to destroy their God-given identities. So that is the premise for why they're holding these rallies. They think it is an attack on children, and that, I mean, essentially, that's what they're fighting. On Saturday, extremist Matt Shea, a former Washington state representative, was among those who attended. So my question is, did the mayor go too far in calling them right-wing extremists? Because that's what they're really upset about. Now, a couple of months back, the co-founder of Mayday USA, Ron Johnson, different from Pastor Johnson, rallied his believers for what he framed as a holy crusade into the heart of darkness, which is what we know as downtown Seattle.
So from 2 to 5, as we're cutting this hair, by the way, this is in Pike's Place. Kind of a big deal. Kind of like, yeah, we here. Kind of like Antifa's headquarters. Kind of like where thousands showed up for BLM. Kind of like where it's too hard and too difficult. Yeah, we going right there. So from 2 to 5, we're cutting hair, bicycle giveaways. Main event starts at 6. Guys, we're going to worship.
Okay, and so they cloak it in, we're going to worship, but they, as you said, want to create this chaos. They want to get attention. They're going from city to city. I don't think it is a stretch to say these are right-wing extremists. You heard from the pastor of a member of a different church, or a pastor from a different church, who was saying, yeah, that's not what we represent. So we have to be able to have these conversations in a more nuanced way where, yeah, you're trying to distinguish, okay, it's not all Christian conservatives who believe this way. These are more extreme versions, and their vision is more extreme than many Christian conservatives. It is also, we've got to point out that in the same statement that the mayor made on Saturday, he also called the counter-protesters who resorted to violence on Saturday, he said they were anarchists. I think that's correct. I mean, that, yeah, you resort to violence. It's, yeah, you go way too far and you lose the support of most, if not all. Okay, it is also extremely worrisome, though, that former right-wing talk show host Dan Bongino is now an FBI deputy director. And if you haven't heard of him, he has made it clear that his overarching concern is owning the libs. Listen to this.
Folks, get away from these people as soon as you can. They are violent, aggressive, anti-civil liberties totalitarians. Get away from them as fast as you can. And pray to God they stay behind in their communist enclaves and never cross paths with you in your life. We need a total reevaluation of our system of government. We cannot coexist with these people anymore.
So here we are. And as we mentioned, the counter-protesters who resorted to violence, they are not doing themselves any favors.
No. I want to say a couple more other things. First, the comment now, Ursula, is that, here locally that Christians are under attack. You feel that way? You guys feel like Christians are under attack? I don't think that. I really don't believe that. And as someone who is a believer, and I'm bringing this up because oftentimes people think that you have to walk around literally with a Bible and you got to quote verses and you got to say these things. It is better to do than to know. You see, a lot of people, Ursula, have a lot of these verses in their mind and they can recite them and can do all these things. One of the folks there, I heard this morning, and this is what she had to say.
To say one group is more than the other, that kind of pissed me off because I roll with Jesus.
She said that, and I was thinking, if we want to be more like Jesus, like assuming that that's what they want, why so angry? Why so mad? Why so judgmental? Right? If we're gonna be talking about that, why are we being this way? In my lifetime, some of the most vitriol, some of the most disdain, some of the most judgment that I have ever received in my life have come from people inside the church. And I'm a believer. So again, the reason why I wanted to start in the very beginning, because I just want to ask the don't mess with my kids folks. What was your goal?
And are you still trying to accomplish it? Because right now, it feels like you have another type of energy now. It feels like roar and fire and brimstone. You know what I mean? Like it's different now. Or are you still on the message of don't mess with our kids?
Oh, I think they're going to stay with the message of don't mess with our kids. I mean, the reality is they did go try to get a permit. We said it yesterday at Victor Steinberg Park. They ended up being at Cal Anderson Park, which, now the city is going to review the process of what happened there. But it played out perfectly for them. And now you've got these counter-protesters who resorted to violence, some of them. I mean, again, vast majority were very peaceful, but yesterday there were 8 who were arrested. Mm-hmm. The other day there were 23. And again, they had the right, the religious groups had the right to be at Cal Anderson Park. Yeah. Whether you like their message or not, they had the right to be there. Mm-hmm. And sadly, this all played into exactly what they want.
I want to just...
It's just more divisive than it needs to be.
There was a video I was seeing, and I'm sure all of you have seen some of the video that was taking place. And later on, we're going to bring in James Lynch, who our KIRO News reporter, who was there as well. And again, there's protests, there's counter protests, there's people trying to do it the right way, and you have agitators. And I want to just be very specific on some of these agitators that are out there. No, it is not against the law. Because I saw some of you, it was one brother had on a white T-shirt, red shorts, and he has his cell phone, and he's going in and out, and he's putting the cell phone in the cop's face. Let me tell you something. If that's what you're doing, and you feel like you want to go down there and take a phone and put it in a cop's face, I don't know what you're trying to accomplish other than being an agitator. Mm-hmm. You're not protesting anything, grabbing a phone. Now, if you want to record, that's fine. You can record, but you don't have to go in the cop's face and do that and say whatever you want. I mean, like, it's not against the law, but my goodness, Ursula, it was frustrating me so bad. Because the reason why it frustrates me is because this is what they want.
Mm-hmm. Can I say something that is non-inflammatory? I just want to make sure everyone knows that I know all three of us have utmost respect for people of faith. And these are performers. Jesus himself warned against performative faith, and he called for sincerity and quiet devotion. He said, "Be careful not to practice your righteousness in front of others to be seen by them. If you do, you will have no reward from your Father in heaven." That's Matthew 6:1. There's a real big difference between true people of faith who follow the teachings of their gospel and those who do this performatively to earn money and attention.
You make great points. Now, there will be people who argue with you, Chef, and they will say, well, I believe in what Pastor Johnson says, and I believe, and you might think he's performative, but go watch his sermons, and I believe in what he says. And again, they have the right to be out there. That all said, once you get to the point where you're reacting violently, all message is lost.
And by the way, Ursula, I'm not even going to say anything about what the pastor has to say, right? Like, okay, he has that right, the freedom of speech to say those things. Okay, counter protest, you guys have that.
Yes.
But what we are dealing with, it's the unseen. It's the ones that's not accounted for. It's the agitators. There's the ones that pop the balloons, that cause problems.
Yeah, and if you go to any sort of rally or any sort of protest, there are always those who go, the vast majority, again, are there for the right reason, for the cause, but there are some who are spectating and just want to see what happens when chaos erupts or what's going to happen. I mean, and they go there. It's almost like for sport. And it happens at every single event, one of those big protests that I've been to. Sadly, I mean, that happened in the tree lighting event. Remember where it was canceled in downtown Seattle where I was supposed to be part of it? Yeah. And there were people there. They may have felt like their cause was righteous, but once it ends up shutting down the tree lighting and vandalizing property, et cetera, it's like, okay, well, you lost the message.
Also lost in this is the very real harm that's caused to so many people who are gay, to so many people who are trans, by this rhetoric that it is perverse, it is a mental illness, it is a sickness in America that needs to be eradicated.
Yes. And
that
I hope
that is really the tragic thing to hear also.
It really is. And I hope that people know, listening to the show, that we have been consistent in our support for the LGBTQ plus community.
Oh, you think anybody questions that? You think?
Well, I think you can be in support of it while also saying, hey, whoever's resorting to violence, who's ever throwing crap at police or, setting things on fire, whatever that is, that's not okay.
Hey, Ursula, the reason why it's not difficult for our show, because we don't have an agenda, right? And it's these grifters out here that have agendas that spark and put out the flames out here to keep it continuing to go. All of these folks claim to be this way, and they want things to be the right way. And as soon as that dude in the office, the president of the United States, they won't say a word about him. You see, they pick and choose who they do this with because they have an agenda, and it's an absolute grift. Coming up next on the Gee Ursula Show.
We're going to talk about etiquette. Now we're going to have fun.
Is this the way you said it?
We're going to have fun because, my gosh.
Let's get some etiquette.
What's your big pet peeve when it comes to etiquette or lack thereof? How about that? There's a reason we're doing this.
People that grift and say please and thank you. Coming up next.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
Cold leaking and rats are moving and mold is creeping and water seeping in. It's hard to be a homeowner, we know.
Without American Crawl Space and Pest Services, it is hard to be a homeowner. Dave Ross here. American Crawl are the heroes to call for insulation and pest issues because in addition to their great reviews and decades of experience, they also give out the most PSE insulation rebates of any insulation company in the state.
American Crawl, the heroes you call.
Get your free inspection at AmericanCrawl.com.
In the market for a new car? Go with the dealership I trust, Carter Subaru. Ursula Reutin here. We are repeat customers because at Carter Subaru, your drive always begins with savings. Right now, get the 2025 Forester with 3.9% financing for 48 months on approved credit. Shop with the Carter Subaru Advantage and enjoy valet parking at their Ballard dealership and at-home delivery across all locations.
On approved credit, subject to vehicle insurance and availability. A documentary service fee may be added to the sale price or capitalized cost. See dealer for details. Valid through 5/31/25.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
At Les Schwab, we've been changing the tire game for more than 70 years. Our Go the Extra Mile service means more hustle, less hassle. We design our own exclusive tires to give you more tires made for the road you drive, less compromise. All backed by America's best tire warranty included with every tire we sell. We're talking more unbeatable tire warranty, less charging you extra, like the other guys. It's why you get more from less. Book an appointment at leschwab.com.
If you're thinking about renovating an attic, spending more time in your sunroom, or building onto your home, a Carrier ductless unit is the perfect solution for climate control. It's efficient, quiet, and incredibly flexible when it comes to installation because there's no ductwork required. It's just one more way we're making your home totally comfortable.
Your local Carrier heating and cooling dealer will improve your home's comfort, air quality, and efficiency. Visit CarrierNorthwest.com to find the expert near you. Carrier, turn to the experts.
This could be the oddest gift anyone's ever given me.
But I'll bet you use it.
When the time is right, I suppose.
That's the idea.
A plunger.
An Apollo plumbing plunger.
Free for me?
Actually, free to everyone we visit.
Because?
We believe some things you can do on your own.
And if this plunger can't fix it?
Apollo Plumbing will.
Just like that.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
Wouldn't you rather I just call?
You're welcome to.
Okay.
But for a simple backup?
Something I can solve myself?
Try your free plunger.
I'll admit it's kind of spiffy.
Apply a little pressure.
And if it still won't clear?
Call Apollo Plumbing.
The Ready Right Now plumbers.
Our big blue trucks come stocked full of fixes.
And a plunger-wielding plumber.
A clean screen, trained and trustworthy Apollo plumber.
They come in a jiffy?
Arriving when promised to put plumbing problems in your past.
And give me a free plunger.
That too.
You know, I kind of like this plunger.
I'm sure it'll come in handy.
Just like Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Cars for Kids, the easy way to donate your car. Donate today and your car can be picked up tomorrow. Go to carsforkids.com or 1-877-CARS4KIDS. Bonneville International radio station contests are open to participants 18 years of age or older that are residents of Washington State unless otherwise specified. Employees or agents of the station, Bonneville International Corporation, other area radio stations, or any entity associated with the contest are not eligible to win unless the station otherwise specifies at its own discretion. Persons who have won in the last 60 days from a station contest or event may not be eligible. Full general contest rules are available on mynorthwest.com or in person at the station during regular business hours.
As we age, the home can become an unsafe place, but at Care Partners Senior Living, help is always nearby. Amanda here for Care Partners Senior Living. Our communities offer safe living spaces with medical professionals on site and ready to help. We assist you with your mobility when needed, so you can participate in activities whenever you like and socialize at your own pace. With locations throughout Washington and Arizona, you'll find a Care Partners community near you. Care, it's in our name and what we do. Learn more at carepartnersliving.com.
When the heat's in 11,
cool AC would be heaven.
dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush.
Act now before summer.
Because that heat's a real bummer.
dayandnight.net.
This is the time to plan ahead so you stay cool this summer. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Now save up to $6,000 on qualifying cooling equipment. dayandnight.net.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. The greater Seattle area will reach the first 80-degree day of the year today. KIRO News Radio meteorologist Ted Beener.
Yet again, we're going to have our warmest temperatures of the year thus far. Higher pressure building over the Pacific Northwest that's going to have temperatures soaring up into the 80s.
That is not a record, but CBS's Vicki Barker reports.
The UN's climate agency says the world is on course to experience more record temperatures over the next 5 years, with a high likelihood that average warming will exceed the limit set by the Paris Climate Accords.
A climate-fighting law will make it more expensive for you to visit Hawaii.
It's the nation's first such law. Democratic Hawaii Governor Josh Green has signed legislation that imposes a 3% tax on hotel rooms and vacation rentals to raise money to address eroding shorelines, wildfires, and other consequences of climate change.
If we don't do proper destination management, if we don't keep our beaches properly tended to, if we don't make sure the parks are perfect, people will stop coming here.
The new tax comes nearly 2 years after a wildfire on Maui killed more than 100 people. Jim Krasula, CBS News.
The Trump administration is freezing all new student visa interviews at U.S. embassies and consulates so the State Department can go through their social media accounts. Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce.
We use every tool in our tool chest to vet anyone coming in who wants to come into this country. And in order to do so, it has to apply for a visa to gain access to our nation.
This follows several on-campus protests about the war in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a senior Hamas leader, Mohammed Sinwar, has been killed. CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
There has been no confirmation from Hamas or anyone in the Arab world. He was thought to be a hardliner opposed to a ceasefire, so some analysts are thinking this may allow Hamas to be more open to a deal to release hostages, 23 of which are thought to be alive, and maybe even a truce that would allow some negotiating room. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
A Northwest blues legend takes a final bow.
Oh, baby, you just wait and see.
Bill Engelhard, better known as Little Bill, has died at the age of 86 near his home in Mount Lake Terrace. Family members tell the News Tribune there will be a memorial July 13th. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 126 points, NASDAQ off 17. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, your drive northbound into Seattle is starting to ease after an earlier stall on northbound I-5 at Dearborn. Travel time, Federal Way to Seattle, a much improved 55 minutes, only a few longer than typical for this time of day. Everett to Seattle will take you 54 minutes, 10 longer. Renton to Bellevue, 47, about 5 longer. And your lake bridges are clearing out nicely now. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs around 80. It is 65 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio Northwest News.
Welcome back to the Gee and Ursula Show. And one of our listeners just texted in and let us know about a traffic issue, and it is on I-5. And Chef, where exactly is it?
It's on I-5 northbound at about 117th near Northgate. It looks like the semi is blocking 4 lanes of traffic. Looks like it was going southbound, went through the Jersey barrier, but again, it looks like all lanes of I-5 north near Northgate are blocked right now.
Ooh, that sounds like it's going to be a long-term deal. So we will keep track of that and bring you any updates as soon as we get them, but you will want to avoid that area at all costs. Well, let's talk about etiquette, because we need to have some fun on the show right now.
Mm-hmm.
And so do you have a big pet peeve when it comes to etiquette?
Yeah, the number one pet peeve is,
which is?
People's lack of respect for others' time. Like I don't, and the thing is, this is how I know it comes down to respect. What time you get there is based on the person. So meaning the person decides, where does this person at on my respect level? I'll get there 30 minutes late. I'll get there 15, 20 minutes late. Now, they say the standard is like 10 minutes, you know what I mean? Like, give or take. But I say this all the time, Ursula. If I have $25,000 to give you, and I tell you to meet me at 2 o'clock, what time would you be there? You don't have to answer that.
Yeah.
But you're not going to get there at 2:30.
Yes.
You're going to get there at 1:45 at the latest.
Yeah.
People need to. I show that respect to other people. And then one last thing, Ursula, on the time, and this has been my pet peeve lately. Oh, sorry I didn't get back to you. I've been busy.
We're all busy. Yeah. I am guilty of sometimes being late, so I cannot pretend that I am perfect when it comes to being punctual. I'm not. And it is not disrespect. I understand that it is rude. And it is not disrespect for other people. It is just a flaw of mine. And I apologize to anyone who has had to wait for me. I have had to wait for other people too. And I get it. It's annoying as heck, but I don't want to pretend I'm perfect in that area because I'm not. Right. But the reason we're bringing this up is because The Cut, which is a New York Magazine site that covers women's lives and interests and everything from politics and work, money, relationships, etc., they've come up with this list of modern etiquette rules. And so we were going through a couple of them, and one of the first one, when it comes to friends and lovers, it says you may callously cancel almost any plans up until 2 p.m. Okay, already you've lost me on that one. Callously cancel?
These are young New Yorkers. That's the mindset, I guess.
Okay, yeah. Okay, now this is one I do like. It says, while on a date, if you find that you are talking a lot, ask yourself, when was the last time I asked a question? That is a really good one.
Mm-hmm.
Because so often, there are people who just get so absorbed in talking about themselves and everything else going on in their life, and you're just like, okay, either I hope you take a breath or maybe give me a chance to ask you a question.
You ever just be in those situations and you just, would you just, in your mind, you don't say it out loud, but in your mind, you're like, would you just shut up? Can you take a breath? Do you understand cadence or anything like that?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, I know you've picked out one of the things. What is something that you do that you know is annoying or is not? What are you guilty of when it comes to etiquette or lack thereof?
Well, one of the things that I saw in here, Ursula, it says, never wake up your significant other on purpose, ever. And
oh no! What do you do?
As you all know,
yeah.
I'm up earliest every day.
Yes.
That's just I'm wired that way. But there are times that I'll just call out of the blue or come upstairs. Hey, and I could tell she's annoyed. Like, you just woke me up for no reason. Yeah, I'm the worst at that.
Oh no!
I wake you up.
Okay, another thing on this list, and I think this is great for all of us, and it's a modern etiquette rule, and it's a older etiquette rule. If you've met someone and they clearly don't remember your name, say, hi, we've met. I'm blah. Save them. You know that they're struggling. And conversely, sometimes I will just say, hi. If I can't remember someone else's name, I'll say, hi, I'm
Ursula. Remind me.
Exactly.
Yes, I always need it.
Ay. And it's gotten so worse. My name amnesia is horrific.
Ursula, I used to make fun of my dad because my friends would come over and he couldn't remember their names, and I'd be like, "How come you can't remember their names?" And he said, "Oh, you just wait when you get older." Oh boy, I don't think I know if anyone. Ursula, I think I have you beat.
Is there any more classic dad thing to say than just you wait?
It's bad. Now,
they also say it's okay to ask someone's name. Yeah, just say. Sometimes
I feel embarrassed.
I know, but sometimes I'll just say, you know what? I truly have name amnesia. Could you please help me?
Ursula, it makes it seem like you don't care.
Well,
I feel that way.
But what I often will say, it's too much probably, but I'll say, I remember everything about our last conversation. I usually do. I'll remember like, hey, I met you at yada yada. I just don't remember your name. It's so
That's
bad.
good. That's actually good.
But
I
it's
like how you did that.
Yeah, it's because
I remember everything
I remember
we talked
that you wore that green dress the last time we met. Just don't remember your
Now, do you ever do this when you get ready to introduce someone? Like, I might introduce somebody. Hey, I might blank your name, Ursula. Like during the introduction phase, I might blank your name.
Yes, even though you've known me. Yeah, and yeah, exactly. It's like this is a family member, and right now, my tongue is tied. It's an anxiety that creeps in. Okay, a couple really quick. When someone compliments you, don't return a compliment with a compliment. Just say thank you.
Ladies,
I am guilty of that.
I love your hair today. Great
my gosh,
shoes.
I know. Okay, how about this one? If someone mispronounces a word, but you knew what they meant, just move along. Guilty.
This is my favorite one. No one wants to hear about your dreams or a TV show that you've never seen.
Oh my gosh. And they go into great detail, and you're just like,
I never go into detail because I never remember what the plot is. Nick, can you give us anything?
You brought up a good point about somebody talking too much in a conversation, because it actually is harder to chime in to like a, back and forth if someone's just giving you so much information to process. You're like, oh, okay, well, where do I start with that,
And for the record, Nick and everyone, I talk more here than anywhere. When I leave here, I don't talk, really. I don't. And so that's why when I be sitting there, I be thinking like, man, bro, would you shut up? You're just talking too much.
Oh, no. Now anyone who encounters you, they're going to be like, what is G really thinking? Hey, coming up on Agree to Disagree, I think we need to run through a few others because one of these says, when planning a hangout, it's absolutely fine to say no partners. Like, do you agree with that?
Okay, yeah, hold that one.
Okay.
Coming up next, we do need to talk about the demands of a birth certificate. Next, Gee Ursula.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carney.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-961-5544. 800-961-5544.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
When you switch to Progressive, you could save bundling your home and auto. Then you could put that money towards some of the surprisingly more expensive things in life.
Attention passengers, we've reached 10,000 feet and internet is now available for purchase.
I just paid hundreds for this flight and you can't even throw in internet? I'll just take the free pretzels.
Sorry, but I do have snack boxes for sale.
I'm just gonna sleep.
In that case, we are selling pillows and blankets as well.
I'll just breathe. That's free, right?
Life costs a lot, so bundle and you could save with Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates and other insurers, not available in all states.
Do you notice sounds coming from your crawl space or attic, or possibly stale or foul odors in your home? This could be that rodents have gotten into your attic and crawl and have made it their home. They tear up the insulation to make nests to have babies. They contaminate it with their biological waste, which can be harmful to your health. And they ruin your home's energy blanket, costing you thousands of dollars a year. If you even think you may have a problem, call Insulation Northwest today, and we will come to your home as soon as tomorrow and perform a free, no-obligation inspection to determine what the problem is. This inspection normally costs $199, but it's yours free just for calling today. If we discover any problem with rodents in your home, we can get them out and keep them out and restore your home's protective insulation blanket back to brand new condition. Let Insulation Northwest give peace and comfort back to you and your family and save you thousands of dollars in energy savings. Call Insulation Northwest today, the real insulation company.
InsulationNorthwest.com.
I've always been a super athletic guy, but after I turned 40, I noticed I was slowing down. Instead of hitting the gym after work, I spent my evenings on the couch with a bag of chips. I was gaining weight, losing muscle, and when I did try to work out, I ran out of energy right away. One of my buddies suggested I book a free testosterone check at Revive Health. And that's when I learned that low T doesn't just impact how guys perform in the bedroom. I worked with a provider to create my custom treatment plan, and today I'm feeling stronger than ever. Last week, I even set a new PR at the gym. My only regret is not reaching out sooner.
If you're ready to book your free T-check, visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com or call 206-529-1111. Again, that's 206-529-1111.
Americans love using their credit cards, the most secure and hassle-free way to pay. But D.C. politicians want to change that with the Durbin-Marshall credit card bill. This bill lets corporate megastores pick how your credit card is processed, allowing them to use untested payment networks that jeopardize your data security and rewards. Corporate megastores will make more money, and you pay the price. Tell Congress to guard your card, because Americans lose when politicians choose. Learn more at guardyourcard.com. Paid for by the Electronic Payments Coalition.
Hi, I'm Keith Dashafee, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. We're celebrating 100 years of Pella excellence with an offer as strong as our legacy. Get $100 off every window, $100 off every door, and enjoy 100 days with no interest and no payments. It's our way of saying thank you for letting us be a part of your homes for a century. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free consultation today. Pella, 100 years strong.
It is the Gee and Ursula Show. Sully is his. Chris Sullivan is here. We have a traffic update, Sully.
Yeah, I just got to let you guys know. Traffic alert in effect. We are messed up in a big way and will be for a while in Seattle. Northbound I-5 is blocked just after Northgate. All the lanes are blocked. We have a semi carrying a load of lumber. Fortunately, the lumber didn't spill, but it's perpendicular to the road and blocking all lanes of northbound I-5 just after Northgate, and it is blocking 3 lanes southbound because it looks to have taken the Jersey barrier out and shoved it into the southbound lanes. So we're going to be providing you guys updates as often as we can. But if you're going through Seattle or trying to go out of Seattle northbound, bail somewhere. Get on 99. Get off at Lake City Way. This is going to be here a while. Again, all northbound is blocked. Southbound, pretty close to all blocked.
Okay, and in your expertise, when you have something like this could be hours.
Yeah, fortunately, what it looks like, the cab didn't jackknife, so it's not at a hard angle. They might be able to back this thing out of the way, but I can't tell how badly damaged the cab might be or how many other cars are involved. But I could tell you that at least 2 sections of the Jersey barrier are sitting in the southbound lanes.
Yikes.
This thing hit at a pretty good clip, so this is impacting both directions. Going to be with us for a while.
Thanks, Sully, and you will be joining us in the 10 o'clock hour to talk about new rules for older drivers. Adults behaving badly at kids' softball games. That's what we need to talk about. Yep, and this time it left an 11-year-old in tears. Down in Oregon, a young girl named Brinley Stevens had just smashed a line drive when coaches from the other team stormed the field and accused her of being too old to play. Even shouted, "I want to see birth certificates or this game is done." Wow. Brinley is a 5th grader from Astoria. She's tall, nearly 5'10", but she's also 11. Every player in her league already had to prove their age before the season even started. Her mom tells ABC 7 Brinley was terrified. She held back tears as 2 grown men confronted her on the field while the stands looked on. Luckily, her coach stepped in before things got worse. Brinley later said, "It was scary. I was just standing there thinking, what the heck is going on?" You know, Ursula, you guys were talking about this morning and about the birth certificate. When I was younger, so first of all, I've been this height, this tall, since 8th grade.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah.
So how tall are you?
Well, not anymore. I'm 6 feet now.
Okay. So at one point you were 6'1".
6'1", yeah.
Okay.
But myself and Keith Conley, when we played baseball together, we constantly had to, our birth certificates, the coaches kept them on there. You know, we were always being questioned.
And you also played really good basketball. So the only reason people care about how old someone is or want to show the birth certificate, they're only going to question it if you're especially good. Right. If you're a really tall dude and you're all limbs and you're not very good on the court, No one's going to question you, or on the softball field, whatever it is. I just find it to be horrible sportsmanship on the part of the coaches or the adults in the room to make this big to-do during a game. Like, oh my gosh, they're playing, so demand their birth certificate right there. Mm-hmm. I mean, take it up later.
Yeah, well, this comes from the same people, Ursula, that there's always a yeah, but, or there's a justification for why you lost. So, for an example, people say, well, Rainier Beach wins a lot of state basketball championships here because, but they recruit, right? They talk about the recruiting. They talk about recruiting in basketball, and they talk about recruiting in football. Hey, Ursula, how come in the state of Washington you never hear about recruiting in baseball? There's a team, there's a school here that is really, really good at baseball, and I never hear anything about quote-unquote recruiting violations in baseball. I wonder why that is.
Because it's so majority white sport.
Yeah. And I think that's the point you're making without flat out saying it. And, gee, I'm going to be honest. Mm-hmm. I didn't even think about that until right now, until you brought it up.
About what, the baseball?
About why baseball's never brought up. Because all throughout my kids' high school, I constantly heard about recruiting allegations. It's like, those kids couldn't possibly actually go to this school unless they were recruited.
Right.
And not to say that recruitment doesn't happen.
It does.
Exactly.
But it happens in all sports.
Yeah, why are you singling out?
But why do you single out basketball and football?
Yes. But this whole thing with the kid, my kids growing up, there's one child on our team.
Yeah.
Who was always like feet above everybody else. He had a humongous growth spurt very early on. Mm-hmm. Actually still plays basketball professionally.
Oh, wow.
To this day. Mm-hmm. And he was just taller than everybody. And I know that, but I think he eventually grew into his own. But I'm sure he got it every single time. Like, how. Yeah. It's like, come on, chill out. 11?
There's this weird idea these days that nobody should have a biological advantage over another child.
Oh, my gosh.
But it happens all the time.
Yeah, it does happen all the time.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Good stuff. Well, Ursula, we're starting to have fun. You know what? I realized something. I'm going to blame this on you, Ursula.
Okay.
Because the top 5 stories, we went right into all of the protests and counter-protests and everything. You know what you were supposed to do? You're supposed to start off talking about the weather. You're supposed to start off with
We did talk about the weather. We talked about how I said, don't rush my summer. It's not officially summer yet. We're going to have the warmest day of the year. This is truly what I call a Chamber of Commerce kind of day. What are y'all doing? Text us, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Extra bonus points if you send us a picture.
Oh, nice.
How are you spending this beautiful day?
Hey, at 10:30, James Lynch is going to come in, and he was live on location. He's going to tell us what happened at the protest yesterday. But up next, Chris Sullivan joins us to talk about new rules for older drivers. Gee Ursula.
Patrick was way behind on his IRS taxes.
I was in way over my head. The total amount ended up being somewhere just over $30,000. $30,000.
Then the IRS came to collect.
Started getting letter after letter. A lien had been filed against me. They were going to basically hang me completely out to dry.
He had to do something.
That's when I reached out to Optima Tax Relief.
Patrick's life quickly got a lot easier.
It was very easy, pretty much hands off. They picked up the ball and ran with it.
And how'd it go?
I couldn't believe it. I had to ask 2 or 3 times. I saved an incredible amount of money.
How does Patrick feel about Optima?
Couldn't be happier. They definitely helped me. Optima Tax Relief, the best place to call. They're the best in the business.
Do what Patrick did and call Optima Tax Relief for a free consultation. Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
Business leaders know to solve a problem, you got to look at it in a new way. Like travel between Seattle and Portland. Why is it such a pain? I-5 traffic, TSA slowdowns, SeaTac hassles. Seaport removes those pain points. We fly out of Boeing Field and a private terminal at PDX. You park for free, steps away from your plane. And with flights every 45 minutes, you're always home for dinner. Problem solved. Seaport Airlines. It's about time.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Still getting around to that fix on your car? You got this. On eBay, you'll find millions of parts guaranteed to fit. Doesn't matter if it's a major engine repair or your first time swapping your windshield wipers. eBay has that part you need, ready to click perfectly into place for changes big and small. Loud or quiet, find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. But you already know that. eBay. Things, people, love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And over the years, I've loved sharing military stories with my neighbor Greg, a battle-tested former Army Ranger. He's a barbecue master and always welcomes us over. As it's Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants all active duty, veterans, and family to know that they're always eligible to join. Because at Navy Federal, our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
Are you having trouble hearing? Hearing loss can devastate the quality of your life. Now, there's an affordable fix for you or your loved one. Rated the best hearing aids of 2025 by Forbes Health, Audion Hearing has the highest quality hearing aids at the lowest prices, starting at just $98 a pair.
I actually like them better than my old $5,000 hearing aid.
I could not believe how my hearing and life changed.
Join over 1 million happy customers by going to audionhearing.com. That's AUDIEN hearing.com.
Experience the thrill of seeing orcas and humpback whales with Puget Sound Express. Join their family-run tours for guaranteed whale sightings, departing daily from Edmonds. These are Seattle's most popular and well-reviewed whale tours. Book now at PugetSoundExpress.com.
KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Steve Kathan. Israel says it's killed a top Hamas commander, Mohammed Sinwar, about a year after killing his brother.
The Sinwar family had been very prominent in the leadership of Hamas, and now the two main brothers are dead.
CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
He was thought to be a hardliner opposed to a ceasefire, so some analysts are thinking this may allow Hamas to be more open to a deal to release hostages, 23 of which are thought to be alive, and maybe even a truce that would allow some negotiating room. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
At a swearing-in ceremony for Jeanine Pirro, the interim U.S. attorney for D.C., President Trump says he urged Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu to hold off striking Iran as the U.S. pushes for a new nuclear deal. And he says pressure on Harvard University is not about to let up.
Harvard's got to behave themselves. Harvard is treating our country with great disrespect, and all they're doing is getting in deeper and deeper and deeper. They've got to behave themselves. You know, I'm looking out for the country and for Harvard. I want Harvard to do well. I want Harvard to be great.
And President Trump's blasted Vladimir Putin on social media for increased Russian attacks in Ukraine. Many lawmakers in Washington want him to act with new sanctions. CBS's Natalie Brand says it includes members of his own party.
There's a bipartisan bill introduced in the Senate by Senators Lindsey Graham and also Richard Blumenthal that would impose maximum sanctions on Russia if Russia does not come to the negotiating table.
Well, people who live near the Arkansas prison where a murderer escaped last weekend are on edge.
We know a lot of the employees out there, and we trust that they are doing a great job to protect us. So this is rather shocking, and it's probably as shocking for them as it is for us.
The escapee, a former police chief, walked out wearing mock officers' clothing. In Hawaii, a vacation stay might cost a little more because of a new law.
It's the nation's first such law.
Democratic Hawaii Governor Josh Green has signed legislation that imposes a 3% tax on hotel rooms and vacation rentals to raise money to address eroding shorelines, wildfires, and other consequences of climate change.
If we don't do proper destination management, if we don't keep our beaches properly tended to, if we don't make sure the parks are perfect, people will stop coming here.
The new tax comes nearly 2 years after a wildfire on Maui killed more than 100 people. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
And checking Wall Street, right now the Dow Jones Industrial Average down 93. NASDAQ is down 14. This is CBS News.
Sponsored by Progressive. Protect your auto, home, and business with Progressive and get 24/7 coverage. See if you can save at Progressive.com. That's Progressive.com.
KIRO News Radio Traffic Alert.
A crash involving a semi-truck has blocked all lanes of northbound I-5 at Northgate Way. The crash knocked the Jersey barrier, so most of the southbound lanes are also blocked.
Got nothing but a sea of brake lights in front of me.
That's KIRO News Radio talk show host Spike O'Neill in that backup.
And I had just passed the last opportunity to leave I-5 and escape this bottleneck of dead stop traffic that I'm in.
Seattle Fire says there are injuries in this, but all patients are stable and being transported to local hospitals. Your travel time ever to Seattle, 83 minutes and climbing. Federal Way to Seattle, 51 minutes, 10 longer than typical. And Renton to Bellevue, 1 hour. That may be because so many people are taking alternate routes now. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. Seattle police arrested 8 people as protesters clashed outside of Seattle City Hall last night. KIRO News Radio's Luke Ducey reports the clash was a repeat of a rally that also turned violent in Cal Anderson Park Saturday.
Metal barriers separated conservative Christians and pro-LGBTQ plus counter-protesters at the City Hall rally. Andrew Connolly Holcomb with the United Church of Christ showed up to support the counter-protesters.
The message we preach in the streets is that Jesus Christ has love for everyone, and that this is not it.
Other church members and rally organizers are calling for Mayor Bruce Harrell to resign after the mayor blamed their city-permitted concert over the weekend for provoking the prominent LGBTQ plus community near Cal Anderson Park. Luke Ducey, KIRO News Radio.
A homicide investigation is underway in Tacoma after a man was found unconscious at South Wilkeson Street and South 37th Street. He appeared to have been shot and died of his wounds. Sonic star Sean Kemp has pleaded guilty to second-degree assault after opening fire in the Tacoma Mall parking lot in 2023. No one was injured, and KIRO 7 TV's Brendan Thompson says Kemp might not serve any prison time, but his business is under scrutiny.
The Liquor and Cannabis Board says this conviction triggers a review of the marijuana licenses for Kemp's Cannabis, which Kemp is a one-third owner of. We tried to see if his co-owners would push to remove him from the license if they wish, but we didn't hear back today.
Kemp is expected to be sentenced in August. Firefighters are battling a wildfire in central Washington right now. The Second Creek wildfire is burning on about 63 acres. Photos from the Department of Natural Resources show smoke rising near power lines about 8 miles north of Leavenworth. It was a career performance for Mariners starter Logan Evans last night.
8 brilliant innings in the book for young Logan Evans.
The rookie pitcher shut down the Washington Nationals, allowing just 1 run and striking out 4 batters. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs around 80. It's 65 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with a KIRO News Radio app. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning, everybody. It is the Gee and Ursula Show. Happy Wednesday, May 28th. It's going to be a little hot today. Would you call it hot? 85 today. I don't think you should call it hot.
Oh, some people are going to call it hot. Some people above 78 degrees they cannot handle. For me,
okay, that's me.
Mid 80s is prime time.
That's me.
Is that you?
Okay, if you
Are you like blasting the AC now?
So, oh, for sure. Now, real quick, I know we've done this before. You have to remind me, and you listening, text in. You can set the temperature to a certain degrees for it to be outside for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life.
I got it.
What temperature would it be?
Okay, text us 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. Just want to shout out all the folks who are texting in their pictures and telling us what they're doing
Somebody
on this
sent you
beautiful morning.
pictures?
Yes, to all of us. Tim in Tacoma, he's delivering 400, what did he say? 400 pounds of mushrooms? Yes, to restaurants and grocery stores from Gig Harbor down to Olympia.
Hook me up with the Morels, fam.
Yeah, I know. He sent a picture of the mushrooms. Then we've got Melanie and Bothell walking the trails at Brightwater Treatment Facility in Woodinville with her 2 rescue dogs. I mean, I love this.
It's beautiful.
What does Ursula call this? A Chamber of Secrets Day?
Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, gotcha.
But keep it a secret because everyone's going to think that we need to keep everyone thinking that, this isn't such a great place to live because it's gorgeous.
Ursula, what temperature?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
80 degrees. Just 81 degrees would be
You'd leave it at 81 all the time?
All the time. Remember, I moved here from the Philippines, and for the first year I lived here in Eugene, Oregon, I wore a down coat all year long.
Guess what I want?
What's that?
72.
72? That's still too chilly.
Leave it at 72 the entire time.
It's not warm enough for shorts.
I got some 74 coming in, 74, 75, 70. See, nobody...
80
Ursula,
minimum.
What?
Yes, 80.
Yeah,
80.
All right.
Okay, well, let's get to it, though.
What's new at 10?
Hey, we're going to be keeping you updated on that mess on I-5 as well, just past Northgate. Yeah, you want to avoid that area at all costs. But right now we're going to talk about older drivers who are no longer safe behind the wheel. So what should we do about them? I guess that would be the question. Right now in our state, the only rule is that once you hit 70 years old, you have to renew your license in person, and even then only every 6 years. You don't have to do a vision test. You don't have to do a cognitive check. Just show up. But that could finally be changing because starting this summer, the Department of Licensing is going to start rolling out new rules for older drivers based on a report they commissioned from WSU and several state agencies. And the goal essentially is to keep seniors safe and on the move without putting the rest of us at risk. Although I am now in that close to senior category, I believe. So the top recommendations are more targeted license restrictions based on medical conditions, standardized driver's assessments for seniors, and better screening tools like a test, like a literal maze test to check your vision and focus. Also, there's a public campaign to help normalize the transition away from driving, plus free ID cards for seniors who voluntarily give up their keys. For anyone who has had to deal with this with an aging parent, they don't give up the keys easily at all. But Sully is here right now. Chris Sullivan, our transportation expert, because you were just shaking your head. To try to remove the keys from anyone's hands is very difficult.
That's one of the hardest conversations you can have with your parents in any way, shape, or form is having them give up the keys, because that's basically to them giving up their freedom and their independence.
Yes.
Though, it is necessary. It is completely necessary. Now, that being said, my great aunt Dorothy lived until she was 95. She drove until she was 93. And she drove better than a lot of people. She was, her eyes were good. She didn't have any trouble. I've known people who have lost it at 65 for other, reasons that go along with that they would disagree. So, yeah, something's got to be, and I've been a longtime advocate, even though I know it would be ridiculously expensive, is that we need to take a driver's test every 10 years. Minimum. Every single one of us need to take a written test.
And you're not talking about any age.
I'm talking about every person.
Yes, okay.
And especially, and anyone who moves to our state should be required to take a test.
Yep.
And that's, again, I don't, it's easy to blame California drivers and it's easy to blame the transplants. I know that's the easy picking, but that's not where I'm going. Is anybody coming here, we have different rules.
Yes.
We have DUI rules that are different than others. We have marijuana rules that some states do not have in terms of driving under the influence or what is legal or what isn't. I know it takes more time. It adds up to the pressure to the people that are already at the DOL, that are working hard. I believe more testing in general for all of us.
Okay, but what about when you get up to those?
Certainly.
Let's just say
eyesight
70.
checks.
So right now
eyesight checks without question. They
starting
should
when?
I had my eyesight check when I just got mine done at 55. They asked me to, and they asked me if I needed my license, my glasses when I do it. And I go, well, they're not prescribed. I don't need them to drive. I drive with them. So he said, let's take it without, and I passed without, so he didn't have to put a designation on my ID that says I need a license. I need to wear these all the time. But yeah, I think it's necessary.
I mean, Gee, do you think testing, like after the age of 70, testing once every 10 years is enough? Or every 6 years? Excuse me.
I'd do it every year.
I think it should be.
At that age.
At that age,
Every year.
I would
After
definitely
70?
do that.
Yeah.
And by the way,
I know it's not feasible.
As for eyesight, I'm going every time after 35. Every time you go to get your renewal, you have to go and take a vision test. And here's why. I know one day I was good. No glasses or anything. Everything was great. Matter of fact, I had an event the week before. I was calling out the bid numbers. No problem. 131. Got it. Thank you. No problem. Ursula, the next week, all of a sudden, they were blurry. Like that. And I'm sure
Did you get them checked?
I didn't. Yeah, I had to go get them checked.
Okay,
because
now okay.
But that's how the eyesight
That's what happens. You know what?
goes.
You know what my eye doctor said to me? Said, yeah, you've got old age eyes. Older age eyes. So basically up close and far away, not great, kind of fuzzy, but middle distance is good.
Right.
It's basically your eyes are just starting to wear out.
Our good buddy Michael in Maple Valley says, as a pilot, I am forced to retire at age 65. There is a reason for that. I think testing as we age needs to happen.
But what's the appropriate? That you're saying every year, and that's not feasible.
I know it's not feasible.
Okay, so what's a reasonable idea?
But we have to be honest.
Yes.
Do we want people that are safe behind the wheel, or do we not? And if I've got to go in every year and prove that my eyesight's okay, or that I remember how to zipper merge, or I know the rules of the road, I know every year is really extreme. I get it. Maybe every 2 until you're 75, and then you have to do it. If you're getting near 80, you should be talking to somebody every year if you still have keys. Just because. And I know, and again, saying that there are people these days who are much better at older ages at doing these things. I get that. My great aunt did it years ago.
And we're also living much longer. So we're driving
much longer.
Okay, so what is on the books right now, or what is potentially going to be on the books starting this summer?
Is the increasing the fact for a potential test that they're going to
when?
Starting sometime over the next 2 years.
Only
they're going to be rolling
you renew
it
your
out.
license.
Correct.
Okay,
that
so
seems
that
to
still
be
could be every 6 years.
Correct. But they've got to start somewhere.
Okay.
With this. I mean, if we all went in with the real ID and took care of that, you know how well that got rolled out. If we make a change like that instantly, that's 20% of our driving population, 15%. I don't know. I'm just guessing. That would be a hardship on them to go out and try to make this happen. But I think we all want our roads safe.
Yes.
But to be honest, the bigger issue I have today, if you want to be real about things, I'm less worried about that 75-year-old guy who's got great vision and been driving than I am the 25-year-old kid going 105 miles an hour in and out of traffic. That kid should lose his license. The amount of way people have lost their minds on the road, they're a bigger problem than I think some person who you might consider senile accidentally stepping on the gas pedal when they're at a convenience store instead of hitting reverse and they go forward, right? And you can hurt somebody there too. But
yes,
what's the real bigger issue? Not to say this one shouldn't be addressed, because I believe it should.
Well, it should be addressed, and we know that, first of all, again, like we said, it is very hard to get an older person, and
it's impossible
to give up the keys. In my dad's case, it literally was when he almost was blind. And he'd gotten in a couple of accidents. Thank God he didn't hurt anybody else and didn't hurt himself. But it was only after he was physically unable to drive that he finally gave up the keys.
Yeah.
There's a reason for that, because we need a car to function as adults in this country, and it means finally admitting I can no longer be independent and I do not have freedom of movement.
Yes.
It's huge.
And I keep telling my kids, I will not make you go through that, like what we had to go through, but I don't know what that's going to be like, at that time. Okay, well, we were talking about younger drivers, though. So do younger drivers need more driver's ed?
They need better driver's ed. Driver's ed needs to get back into the schools. We need to put money toward that and stop privatizing it because, well, I don't mean stop privatizing it. That's a grand sweeping statement.
Yes.
What it is because those public schools, once they got out of it, now, there's the whole thing of kids who can't afford to get driver's ed, can't take driver's ed, then they don't get any training and the next thing, but they can get a license after a certain age. It needs to be taught. It needs to be taught better. We have to spend less time drilling on what the rules and what signs mean and actually teaching them how to merge. Actually driving with them and teaching them how to merge. And I'm not out there, I'm not giving any problems to any of the people who teach the kids. I'm saying the curriculum maybe nationally needs to change a little bit to focus on more practical things like merging, like sharing the road, because there's so many different things out there now, scooters, bicycles, all these different things out there and different road setups that we need to teach maybe more of actual practical driving than some of the stuff I know Tommy got during his driver's ed, which was more, classroom based than anything.
Yeah. Who taught you to drive?
School, driver's ed in school.
You took it at school. I did not take it at school. My sister taught me how to drive.
Mr. Pojak.
And then I taught my sons how to drive. I'll just never forget that our younger son, I just did not think he was ready. And the last day we were practicing before he was going to take the test, I was like, yeah, you're not taking it as seriously as I want. And he was like, I think I'm ready. I'm ready. And I was sad that he actually did pass the test. He's been good since. But there is this free driving school that is meant as a post-driver's ed course, and it has proven to reduce crashes in teens by 65%. And it's called Brakes. Be responsible and keep everyone safe. It is founded by drag racing champion Doug Herbert after he lost his two sons in a car crash. And it is something that is held nationwide, and it offers advanced hands-on training in a safe, controlled environment. It's free with a refundable $99 deposit or an optional donation. But here are a couple of things that are brought up that I have noted. It says driver distraction and impairment. Those are some on-the-track exercises. Teaches how to safely re-enter the road.
That would be merging.
Yes. Sudden braking with steering. Crash avoidance and slalom. What the heck is that?
That would basically, from what I'm guessing, just looking at it quickly, the options to do like skid testing, where you would go on like a controlled track and then they would force you to hydroplane on purpose. You go hit an area where they load up with just enough water for you to hydroplane and then make you turn to learn how to make emergency movements out of hydroplaning, out of losing your back end or front end. Those are the kind of practical things that you can learn without the possibility of a crash in a safe environment. Those are that's invaluable. But again, not everybody has access to that kind of. We all learn by having survived what we almost didn't, right? Like the first time you lose your back end in the snow and you don't figure it out and you hit something, then you realize, oh, I'm supposed to turn this way or that way. Here you can do it with no risk. That's a great. That would be fabulous. Whether you need to do that, everybody has to do that every first 10 years after you graduate. Again, what's feasible, what's not. We can barely teach math and science and English these days.
Yeah, exactly.
Now we're adding all these other things.
Why do we keep expecting the schools to do what really we should
be doing
yeah,
anyway?
Exactly. Hey, Sully, it is 10:21, and I know we've got this huge problem on I-5.
Yeah. Northbound I-5 is blocked, all lanes, and it is not going to be clear for hours. My best guess. This is just north of Northgate, so you know where the mall comes on, and you've got that one little overpass that goes right over you, just past the mall, past Stanford's there on the right. Okay. It's right there, northbound. This is a semi that was carrying a load of lumber. Fortunately, it looks like it didn't spill it, but all lanes of northbound 5 are blocked there. Looks like they're diverting people off where they can. I think at 107th, maybe, if they can. If you can bail at Lake City Way, do that. I would, to be honest, if you're coming into the city, I'd just go find my way to 405, even though it's brutal, and go around. And also caught up in this is 3 out of the 5 southbound lanes are blocked because of this, because it pushed the Jersey barrier and hit a couple of cars in the southbound direction.
Oh, wow.
And so it's backed up all the way into Snohomish County. So
what's going on 99, though?
Well,
I mean, that seems like the most logical option.
Yeah, well, it looks, let me pull back the camera here. It looks, it's heavy, but everybody's going there, right? Everybody is heading there. 99 is backed up all the way across the Aurora Bridge now. Lake City Way is now bumper to bumper all the way up into Lake City. So if you were to get off there, well past north of your house, Ursula, going up towards 130th. So if you're in downtown right now, what's your time worth? I'm paying the toll on 520 and going to 405 and getting the hell out of Dodge. That's what I'm doing
and
right now.
driving around if you're going
Correct.
north.
And if you're coming down from the south end,
Okay.
I'm doing the same thing. I'm going, and again, 405 right now is jamming up northbound or southbound out of Snohomish County because it's all over the reader boards now. So about the safest bet is if you're about to drive into this northbound would be to get across the lake to the east and head up north on 405 to get away from this. And again, this is going to be there for a while. This is a semi. So, yeah, big problems.
Wow.
Big problems.
Thanks, Sully.
I
Appreciate
took
you.
up the whole segment. Jeez,
Yeah,
I'm sorry
yeah.
about that. You guys probably have more interesting things to say.
No, actually.
Coming
All right, well,
next,
good luck.
James Lynch, our KIRO News reporter, he was there yesterday during the protest, the counter-protest. We'll ask him for firsthand information on what he saw while he was there. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM and download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
Are you worried about economic conditions, tariffs, and inflation? Are you tired of trying to time the stock market? Maybe it's time to take a little risk off the table given current market volatility. For stability, there's no better option than Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, a fixed return of 9%. Hi, I'm Scott Rurecka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital in Bellevue. We've been running local real estate investment funds for over 18 years with 0 investor losses, averaging double-digit returns since inception, and we also accept IRAs. Over 1,000 local investors have invested over $250 million in our Legacy family of funds. Feeling uneasy? Don't gamble your hard-earned money or risk your retirement. Legacy Group's Northwest Fund, returning 9%, has limited openings for new investors right now.
Call 425-635-4700 or visit LegacyG.com. That's LegacyG.com. This is not investment advice. Legacy investments available to accredited investors only. Details at LegacyG.com.
It started as a puddle.
Where?
In the shower.
Uh-oh.
Then the kitchen sink.
Started backing up?
Yeah.
I know where this is going.
Clogged up.
Right. No problem.
Beg your pardon?
There's no clog we can't clear.
You're Dan.
From Apollo Plumbing.
This is going to get pricey.
How about $83?
To clear my drain?
Apollo Plumbing clears main drains every day.
For $83?
$83 or it's free.
What's the catch?
No catch. We'll even do a camera inspection.
Why's that?
It's the best way to find the cause of your clog.
And it's included?
No extra charge. Truth is, we hate clogs.
I don't love them.
Seen them all.
Ew.
I promise, there's no clog Apollo can't clear.
Guaranteed.
83 or free.
Goodbye, slow drains.
All it takes is an accessible clean out.
And Apollo gets my drains draining again.
You call, we come, it's fixed.
My heroes.
Just doing our job.
Thank you, Apollo Plumbing.
ApolloPlumbing.com.
Spike O'Neil for Sharp Vision Modern LASIK and Lens. And let me tell you, everything is my eyes. Everything. Vision is everything in your life. But when your eyes start to go, it affects everything you do. And I had lost quality quality of vision over the years, began to need readers, began to lose readers faster than I could buy them. I knew it was time to get my eyes looked at. So I went to the offices over in Bellevue, Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens. They gave me a comprehensive eye exam, told me exactly what my situation was, the beginning of cataract in my eye, and I was a perfect candidate for RLE, refractive lens exchange. They answered all my questions. I had the same care team from the start of my simple procedure in half an afternoon, and I was cared for. My anxieties were eased. The procedure went smooth as glass. And I got to tell you, I've got better eyes than I've ever had in my life. I've got 20/10 vision. I see brighter colors. I see sharper images. And I will never need readers, and I will never develop cataract. They are the future of RLE surgeries. Over 80,000 successful lens replacement surgeries. Give them a call at 425-451-2020. That's 425-451-2020 or online at sharp-vision.com, sharp with an e-vision.com, official eye care providers of Sounders FC.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out collection letters, garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it even harder to get out of debt. Don't let tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, America's #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in taxpayer assistance programs that can save you thousands if you qualify. A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau, Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. Let them fight on your behalf, helping to put your tax problems to rest. Call the tax professionals at Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
It's a new year, but many seniors are struggling with the same old problem: high prices and rising property taxes. We're here with our friend Steve Teitler of Best Mortgage, and he says a reverse mortgage may be the answer.
Many seniors cannot afford to stay in the home they love. A reverse mortgage gives them access to equity in their home without having to sell. They can pay off their mortgage if they have one and maybe pull some extra cash out of their home. And best of all, they have no mortgage payment the rest of their life.
But as you always say, a reverse mortgage is not for everyone.
That's right. Avoid the high-pressure sales pitch from those out-of-state call centers. I give you a consultation, not a sales pitch. I'll tell you if a reverse mortgage is right for you, and I always tell you if it's not.
Honest advice you can trust from the reverse mortgage experts. Best Mortgage, the VA loan experts and debt consolidation specialists too. 425-649-6000. Best Mortgage, 425-649-6000.
Cars for Kids, your trusted charity for car donations, also accepts donations of boats, RVs, motorcycles, and real estate. Call today, 877-CARS4KIDS.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to Bundle Deal Days at AutoZone.
Well, I do need a bundle of things.
When you bundle, you save.
Do I save if I bundle oil with an oil filter?
Save up to $12 on that bundle.
What about brake pads and rotors?
Bundle those and the brake pads are free.
Can't save more than free.
You can save on hundreds of deals during Bundle Deal Days. Ends June 2nd at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply. Duralast brake pads only.
During National Military Appreciation Month, we at University of Maryland Global Campus say thank you to the service members, veterans, and families who dedicate their lives to our country. We are deeply grateful. For over 75 years, UMGC has proudly served the military community, from installations overseas to the communities you call home. Wherever you serve, we stand with you. Learn more at umgc.edu/thanks. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chef.
When the heat's in 11, cool AC would be heaven.
Dayandnight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
Dayandnight.net.
This is the time to plan ahead, so you stay cool this summer. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. Call us about installing a high-efficiency cooling system or servicing your existing one so you're cool when you need it.
Now save $50 off our pre-summer AC tune-up.
Dayandnight.net.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. A crash involving a semi-truck has blocked all lanes of northbound I-5 at North Gateway and 3 on southbound I-5. Several vehicles involved in this. KIRO News Radio talk show host Spike O'Neill just drove by.
There's one car in front of the semi pinned against the side of the guardrail
There is another car that is literally entwined into the load bed of the semi-truck, and it's literally caught under the wheels and half under the semi.
Seattle Fire says there are injuries, but all patients were able to get out of their vehicles on their own. They are stable and being transported to local hospitals. Your full traffic report is coming up in a moment. Temperatures are expected to reach into the 80s in the greater Seattle area today. KIRO News Radio meteorologist Ted Biener explains.
That'll be the warmest so far this year. In fact, the warmest since 77 degrees back on May 6th.
The record high was 92 degrees set on May 28th in 1983. Biener says this comes as drought concerns continue. All of western Washington is unusually dry, and central and northern Cascades are in moderate drought. Hawaii is imposing a new 3% tax on hotel rooms and vacation rentals to address eroding shorelines, wildfires, and other consequences of climate change. Democratic Hawaii Governor Josh Green.
If we don't do proper destination management, if we don't keep our beaches properly tended to, if we don't make sure the parks are perfect, people will stop coming here.
The new tax comes nearly 2 years after a wildfire on Maui killed more than 100 people. The Trump administration is freezing all new student visa interviews at U.S. embassies and consulates so the State Department can go through their social media accounts. This follows several on-campus protests against the war in Gaza. Word that a senior Hamas leader's been killed. CBS's Remy Inocencio on what Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is saying.
Mohammed Sinwar, the younger brother of Yahya Sinwar, who was killed late last year, has now been killed.
It's hoped this will reboot ceasefire talks. President Trump today asked if he thinks Russian President Putin still wants to end his war in Ukraine.
I'm very disappointed at what happened a couple of nights now where people were killed in the middle of what you would call a negotiation. I'm very disappointed by that.
Over the weekend, Ukraine saw the biggest Russian attacks since the invasion of 2022. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 113 points, NASDAQ off 9. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk, again, a crash involving a semi has blocked all lanes of northbound I-5 at Northgate Way and 3 lanes on southbound I-5. Traffic is being diverted to Northgate Way. Backups are about 4 miles. The express lane reversal will likely be delayed, according to the Department of Transportation. Your travel time, Everett to Seattle, 97 minutes and climbing. Federal Way to Seattle, 40. Renton to Bellevue, 45, a bit longer than what we would typically see this time of day. Traffic brought to you by Seattle Sports. You can always listen to your favorite local sports content on the FM dial at 97.3 HD2. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs around 80. It's 69 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show. It is 10:34, and we sure appreciate you hanging out with us. 8 people were arrested during dueling protests outside Seattle City Hall yesterday. There was a lot of chanting, some pushing around and that kind of thing, but it was otherwise mostly peaceful, as I understand. And James Lynch, you were out there, our KIRO News Radio reporter, and you were here to tell us, set the scene for us.
Well, I think first and foremost, I thought SPD and King County deputies did a really great job yesterday. The way that they started early, they blocked off that area so they could keep traffic out, and they used a lot of barriers to keep these two groups apart. And it could have easily have gotten out of hand because they were taunting each other. You have one group, obviously, with a strict interpretation of the Bible. You have another group that is a more inclusive interpretation of the Bible that supports particularly the LGBTQ plus community. So they both have their rights to their positions. They have a right to stand out there and shout each other down. The problem comes in when the violence comes in. And, when I'm out in that group, I can see when the troublemakers arrive.
Oh, yeah. And every time.
They are the Antifa Tell us crowd. About that. You see them with their helmets in their backpacks. This is a particularly concerning point when you see them start to put on and adjust their gas masks, and just them doing that. If they didn't do anything else, it's insightful. They incite others to violence because they see that. But I did also talk to a lot of bystanders that, have had their fill of Antifa, and they feel like that something needs to be done because, in my estimation, the vast majority of people in these crowds would otherwise demonstrate peacefully, but they're rabble rousers, and there was one woman that was up on a light post. And
they don't have anything to do necessarily with the cause or trying to support the LGBTQ community necessarily. They're there essentially to cause trouble.
Exactly. And, I don't want to make a sweeping statement.
Of course not.
But, there are a couple that can state their positions. Most of them can't, but occasionally you'll get one that's willing to do an interview and can fairly intelligently state their position. But their main reason for being there, in my estimation and from my experience, is to cause trouble.
Okay, so they were calling for the mayor to resign. Did the mayor make any sort of response?
Well, he issued a couple of responses yesterday. He shows no indication that he's going to apologize, and certainly doesn't appear to be willing to resign. So I guess we'll have to see what comes over the next few days.
In your estimation, out of everyone there, obviously it was protesters, counter-protesters, and then you talked about some of the people showing up with the helmets and adjusting and pulling them out of the backpack. What percentage of the people there do you think were there to cause trouble? That you could feel, that you could see? You've been doing this a long time.
Yesterday, probably, maybe 5% or less. It was, you didn't have them in big groups, and that's when they're most dangerous. I spotted maybe 4 of them, 4 or 5 of them, and when their numbers aren't great, then they stay pretty quiet.
Right. So for the most part, yesterday, and then when it comes to when those agitators are there and you see them pull out their mask, who are they usually going at? Are they going at the protesters, the counter-protesters, or are they more focusing their energy on the police?
Yesterday, they were in the group of counter-protesters. Okay. In other words, they were there supporting the LGBTQ plus community and protesting against the religious leaders that were in the other groups who don't believe in the LGBTQ community and they don't believe in a woman's right to choose.
Right. Well, thank you, James. Really appreciate it. Glad you're safe and sound.
And tired.
and so we haven't heard anything further from the mayor's office. And are there any talks of any other protests because of what has happened now?
Not at this point, but it is Seattle, so we'll wait and see. The mayor could very well come out with something in the next couple of days. But if I were to guess, I would think we'll see more demonstrations along this line.
Thanks, James. Appreciate it. Well, you'll keep us informed of anything that happens next.
Always a pleasure, man. You guys have got a really, really great show here, and it's always a pleasure being on.
Oh, man.
Thank you.
It checks in the mail.
Yeah, thank you, sir. or just making some of that macaroni and cheese with the beef ribs. We can make that happen.
Did you like that macaroni?
Oh, man. It was good stuff.
Thanks, James. I appreciate it.
Okay, can I share a text message from one of our listeners, Michael from Maple Valley? I'm not going to do all of it just for lack of time, but I'm going to mention something. And he says, "Good morning, all. As someone who considers myself a Christian and a moderate, I absolutely feel frustrated and defeated with the current events in the Pacific Northwest. What bothers me is how the LGBTQ community has become this whole group of many different ideas, and if you don't agree with them all, then you are essentially labeled a bigot. I voted for marriage of gay couples and equal rights for them. My thought has always been that everyone should have equal rights, the same as I do when it comes to my faith. While I may not always agree with it, that is a conversation between those individuals and God. And who am I to play God?" And then he says, "Here in the Pacific Northwest, we tend to forget, I think, that we are in more of a bubble than the rest of the country. And many of these ideas, like involving the trans community that are being taught in school, really sets people off. While I want to support the trans community," he says, "and again, like I said above, give equal rights to all, what I struggle with is how there are many stories of individuals who have tried to transition and made big changes to their bodies under the age of 18 and have regretted those decisions and can't fix them. And he goes on to say, when people say they want to protect our kids, they want their children to come to the conclusion of who they are on their own, not to be told what maybe they should be in school or influence from outside sources while they're just trying to grow up. And he said, sadly, though, anyone that has a different opinion in this area is labeled as a far-right extremist. Hence why I never talk politics with anyone around here, because you can't have any differing opinions. I don't like everything that the group stood for, but I'm so frustrated that it has become commonplace around here that if you don't walk in lockstep with the ideas of this community, then you are hateful and shouldn't be allowed to voice your opinions, and you'll be cussed at. And yet, that is supposed to be the group of love and acceptance. What a sad time for Seattle and Washington and honestly our world. We have become so hateful and unwilling to listen, and honestly sometimes agree that not everyone will always see eye to eye, and that's okay.
I think you can fully disagree with and have a different opinion on LGBTQ issues and not be a bigot. Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. But if you're voting against personal freedoms for people who are LGBTQ, or if you're a person that calls it a perverse lifestyle, then you are engaging in bigotry, in my opinion. But there are many people who are loving and kind and respectful and know people who are a part of that community, and it's completely fine to have disagreements.
It is. You're...
I don't have nothing. I'm good. It's simple. I mean, it's not every single thing in this country, every freedom that has been gotten for women, people of color, LGBTQ, any other group that's not a white male in this country has had to be fought for.
Mm-hmm.
No. Hold on. Let me go deeper into that. Not only has had to be fought for, people have had to die for these freedoms that we are asking for. The simple stuff, right? Like for G to be able to walk in here to maybe drink at this water fountain or to be able to cast a vote. Don't start getting amnesia on history. Every single thing has had to be fought for. People have lost their lives. So this whole we've become so hateful, stop with that. Miss me with the we've become so hateful. The principle, everything that has been founded in this country has been on top of that. The founding fathers said that black people were 3/5 human. Miss me with the we've become hateful. We're just trying to get better, and for some reason we have blocks in the way because people don't want others to be different from them.
But here's my question. I mean, and I completely hear you. Are you allowed to have a different opinion and not be considered an awful human being?
I don't call you awful. I don't want to do that. But what opinion do you have?
We're all in for wanting human decency, basic.
Sure. So my thing is like this idea of what opinion do you have of someone that's trans?
Mm-hmm.
What is it? You want to tell them how they should be? Then no, I don't rock with that. And I don't want to call you.
I don't either, by the way.
I don't call you anything.
No, just disagree though.
Just disagree with you.
Yes.
Are you upset because somebody's not like you? All right, coming up next, we got more of the Gee Ursula Show.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
Yes, today is supposed to be the hottest day of the year so far. And with the sun out, a lot of people are going to be out. And this is why you need to not drink and drive. Right now, during the summer months, and when it comes up, these are the times that DUIs happen a lot. Jonathan with DUI Heroes says the increase that happens is monumental. So if you or someone you know are pulled over for DUI around this time, contact DUI Heroes immediately today. Your DUI defense specialist, 1-800-DUI-HERO.
Brian loves the outdoors, and then one day his knees told him no.
I did have to stop hiking and skiing.
Diagnosis? Arthritis.
I went to my doctor now, and he wanted to replace my hips, and I did not want that to happen.
That's when Brian learned about stem cell therapy and went to see Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine.
I researched it. You know, you hear you talking on the radio, and it worked.
How long did it take to work?
Within 3 days, I could do squats. I could walk downstairs.
And just 4 months after that,
I went skiing yesterday at Crystal Mountain. We skied most of the day with no pain whatsoever on my knee.
So, does he recommend this to others?
I've recommended so many people, I just can't remember.
Sounds like he does. So before you choose surgery, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com.
Free consultations, no fee guarantees, 5-star reviews. J.P. Pendergast with Pendergast Law explains the importance of going beyond these familiar offerings.
Accident victims want an attorney, Tom, that satisfies their needs. Someone who handles those needs with the highest degree of care. Pendergast Law offers the no-fee guarantees and free consultations, but these only scratch the surface.
Okay, explain more.
We make sure that every member of our team is genuinely passionate about helping others. Customer service and communication are our top priority. It's how we take care of our clients so they always feel one step ahead of the insurance companies. Our strong reputation for high standards provides comfort and confidence when it's needed most.
Pendergast Law offers the free consultations, the no-fee guarantees, and of course, they are 5-star rated. But what really makes them different is their genuine passion for helping others. I can't recommend them enough.
If you or a loved one has been injured in a car accident, call Pendergast Law. We can help.
That's PendergastLaw.com.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com. That's Revive, REVIBE, menshealth.com.
Hi, I'm Keith Dashafee, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. We're celebrating 100 years of Pella excellence with an offer as strong as our legacy. Get $100 off every window, $100 off every door, and enjoy 100 days with no interest and no payments. It's our way of saying thank you for letting us be a part of your homes for a century. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free consultation today. Pella, 100 years strong.
It is the Gee and Ursula Show. Let's get to good old scenarios.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario?
I've been with this man for a year, and I pretty much love the dude. He makes me feel like a Disney princess because he treats me like a queen. I mean, I love him, but I don't know if he feels the same. Lately, he's been spending a lot of time with a woman that he says is a business partner. He told me they're working on an idea together, and he thinks it could be big. Now, I'll admit, it's not like he's hiding her. We all hang out, and we have a good time. But the other day, they started talking about polyamorous relationships. Then they have the nerve to ask me if I would ever be down for something like that. I promise you, it feels like they scripted this entire conversation. That being said, the gal says, well, it's almost like we're already sort of in one. Ha, ha, ha. To which I didn't think it was funny at all. Now, I don't like the feeling that I have. I don't like these conversations. It feels scripted. What do I do next? 888-973-5476. Ursula, you have to bat first.
Listen to your gut. It feels scripted because it was scripted. Your gut is telling you that they've got something more than just a work relationship, and then they just flat out told you to their face and then tried to couch it with ha ha ha. They're telling you exactly what they want. They're telling you exactly what's going on. He was probably grooming, or she was grooming him, or he was grooming her to be part of this throuple. And listen to your gut, confront it, and if you don't get the appropriate answers or the answers that you want, get the heck out of Dodge.
Yeah, they're grooming you.
Yeah.
Yeah, the couple. I mean, the two of them.
The two of them that work. Yeah. You're not his princess.
Yeah, and by the way, you know what? That feeling of you feel that the conversation was scripted, like you said, Ursula, because it most likely was. If you felt it, there's a reason why you felt that for a reason. Now, as for working on something big, I noticed you didn't say whatever that was. So this whole being vague by saying working for something big. Here's why you need to get out. You need to get out because your significant other, who you've been with for a year, is not making you feel comfortable. You should have no questions, right? If it's on the up and up, you shouldn't even have these feelings. So you need to run. And by the way, it's not going to change. They're only going to disguise it even more.
Some guys, by the way, are really good at treating women like a princess or a queen, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they are serious or into you that much. It's just they're good at it. They're good at dating. They're good at love bombing, right? I mean, I guess you could ask them, because clearly they're setting you up. So if we're going to enter into a three-way relationship, do I at least get the tax benefits or just like double the disappointment if I'm going to be with both of you? But tell me if you listening have ever heard something like this from a partner, because I've heard guys do this. Oh, your friend's pretty cute. Or, hey, that girl's pretty attractive, right? And those little comments get dropped in like, would you ever think about, and they're trying to lead you down that pathway of, would you ever think about bringing someone? This is the most blatant way I've ever heard it expressed.
Yeah.
Something I've never heard in my 31 plus years of marriage is my husband saying, that girl over there, she's really cute. That just would not happen.
Yeah,
that's just not happening.
I agree. That's some new. That's some new stuff. That's some new stuff. Yeah, that's definitely new. Nick, what do you got?
It's not a crime to be business associates or work partners with another lady, but hearing this dialogue with the subtle slip into the idea of polygamy, I'd be stopping the party bus and asking, who brought this woman into the house and what is she trying to serve to my man? To each their own if she's not opposed, but this is trying to put makeup on a pig in this case. It's just so blunt in your face.
Nick Harper says, sometimes the best way to hide something is out in the open. They're already sleeping together and they're looking for permission to stop having to sneak around. I think that's a good take. I think that's a likely situation.
Doug in Mount Vernon, up to his usual self. Disney princess, Snow White, and the Seven Deviants. Oh, Doug. All right, we got the 11 o'clock hour coming up, and we got some good stuff for you. We will be doing Agree to Disagree. And by the way, you know how we always bring up SEA, and then you all come back with, it's C-Tech, it's C-Tech. Wait until you find out there's someone or some folks that refuse to call C-Tech SCA. We do that next. Gee Ursula.
You never know what's in store each morning once you hit the road.
We've got a major traffic alert in effect right now.
While you're getting ready every morning, make us part of your routine.
What morning, huh?
Yeah. Got off to an early start.
Just tell your smart speaker to play KIRO News Radio or stream us on the app.
Both directions of I-5 are closed.
We'll help you get where you're going faster.
Maybe bail at 512.
KIRO News Radio. We're on your smart speaker, the app, and 97.3 FM.
At Tropical Smoothie Cafe, summer is our season, and we're kicking it off with a free 12-ounce Sunrise Sunset Smoothie for National Flip Flop Day on May 28th from 2 to 7 p.m. Terms and conditions apply.
When someone hears the words, "You have cancer," it's one of the darkest moments in their life. Light the Night brings light to the darkness of cancer by uniting survivors, patients, and supporters in the cause to end cancer. Friends, families, and coworkers form a community of hope, raising funds in support of the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society. Together, we walk with lanterns held high to light the path to cures. Last year alone, the FDA approved 18 new drug therapies and treatments to treat blood cancers. The impact of LLS-supported research goes beyond blood cancer. The discoveries made in blood cancer research have led to breakthrough treatments for many cancers and other serious diseases. When we walk, cancer runs. Join the movement to end cancer today. Visit us at lightthenight.org.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things people love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Well, these polymers aren't as flexible as batch K3.
Researcher Laurie is stretched thin.
Did you get the vulcanization analytics from V66? Wait, are these rubber scores from last week?
She needs to hire new lab technicians so she can bounce back into her old self.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our matching platform lets you spend less time searching and more time connecting with candidates. Redeem your $75 credit at Indeed.com/credit. Terms and conditions apply.
1 in 3 adults has prediabetes. 1 in 3. That means it could be you, your football buddy, your football buddy, or you, your best man, your worst man, you, your dog walker, your cat jogger. While 1 in 3 adults has prediabetes, with early diagnosis, prediabetes can be reversed. Take the risk test at doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Hi, it's John Curley. Longevity Medical Clinic has been helping people live longer, healthier lives for more than 25 years. I've recently talked with Dr. Mixon about his approach to proactively focusing on prevention. Dr. Mixon, I first met you in 2009, and I went in there and I told you I wasn't feeling well, couldn't gain any muscle mass, couldn't sleep well, I was stressed out, and you looked at me and you said, yeah, I know what your problem is.
And all we did was we measured your values and we moved your values back to those of a nice, healthy 25-year-old man.
I have taken your blood work to my doctor, and he was shocked. He couldn't believe the depth in which you study my blood.
We need to draw a distinction between living a long time and getting old. And that's what longevity is all about, is we are here to do the measurements and help you fix those problems.
So get your free health analysis. Go to longevitymedicalclinic.com. That's longevitymedicalclinic.com.
Your best source for local news. KIRO News Radio. KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle, Northwest News.
This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I'm Cammie McCormick. President Trump says he recently told Israel's prime minister to hold off on striking Iran because the nuclear talks with Tehran were making progress.
We're having very good discussions with him, and I said I don't think it's appropriate right now, because if we can settle it with a very strong document, very strong, with inspections and no trust. I don't trust anybody. So no trust. I want it very strong where we can go in with inspectors. We can take whatever we want.
Israel says it's killed one of the leaders of Hamas in Gaza. He was the brother of another Hamas leader Israel killed last year. CBS News contributor Robert Berger with more on Mohammed Sinwar.
He also was one of the masterminds of the October 7th attack. And interestingly, in Israeli circles, he's considered even more radical than his brother was, and also seen as an obstacle to making a hostage deal.
Israeli strikes have decimated the Hamas leadership. The UN said today Palestinians in Gaza deserve more than survival. That after the chaotic scenes yesterday when a U.S.-backed group took over aid distribution. UNRWA's Philippe Lazzarini.
Shocking images of hungry people pushing against fences, desperate for food. It was chaotic, undignified, and unsafe.
Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is looking at ways to limit advertising by drug companies. CBS's Alexander Tin has that.
In a recent interview on the Ultimate Human podcast, Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said he is weighing new limits on how prescription drugs can be advertised in the United States that he thinks will be able to get around what he called a, quote, recent bad Supreme Court case that granted drug advertising some First Amendment protections. Kennedy has long called for curbs on drug ads in the United States, and on the campaign trail ahead of Election Day pledged to find a way to ban prescription drug ads nationwide altogether.
There is a massive manhunt underway in the Ozark Mountains of Arkansas for an escaped rapist and murderer who also happens to be a former small-town police chief. And folks in the town of Calico Rock, where the prison is located, are nervous.
The town's everybody's hunked down. I think it kind of spooked some people.
CBS's Ian Lee.
There are multiple agencies on the ground, and they're throwing everything they have at this search. We know there's dogs, there's drones, there's helicopters.
Grant Harden escaped the prison over the weekend by dressing as a corrections officer. On Wall Street, the Dow is currently down 131 points. This is CBS News.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Protesters and counter-protesters face off again. We'll tell you what happened, but first from the Beacon Plumbing traffic desk. The semi-truck has been moved, but the crash involving that truck and several cars still has all lanes of northbound I-5 at Northgate Way and 3 of the southbound lanes shut down. Traffic being diverted to Northgate Way. WashDOT says the express lane reversal will likely be delayed. Traffic is backed up northbound to the University District and southbound to 204th Street Southwest. Travel time, Everett to Seattle, 98 minutes now. Federal Way to Seattle, 40. Renton to Bellevue, 45. Traffic brought to you by Beacon Plumbing. For all your heating, electrical, septic, and mechanical needs, stop freaking, call Beacon.
KIRO Newsradio 97.3 FM, Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO Newsradio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. They faced off again.
Trans rights are under attack. What do we do? Stand up, fight back.
Counter-protesters and members of a conservative church clashed in front of Seattle City Hall yesterday. 8 people arrested. Counter-protesters say those conservatives are anti-LGBTQ. Conservatives say they were attacked and they're angry at how the mayor has handled all of this. On Saturday, 23 people were taken into custody during a similar clash at Cal Anderson Park. Seattle police are investigating 2 separate shootings overnight. A 42-year-old man was shot in the Chinatown International District around 11. Just hours later, officers say a man was shot after he interrupted someone breaking into his car. Both victims were taken to Harborview, no arrests. Sonic star Sean Kemp is expected to be sentenced in August. He's pleaded guilty after opening fire in the Tacoma Mall parking lot in 2023. KIRO 7 TV's Brandon Thompson reports.
Kemp pleading guilty to 1 count of second-degree assault, a felony.
When he pleaded guilty, he admitted to committing an assault.
Kemp and his attorney say he was trying to track down his stolen phone and other stolen things. Both Kemp's attorneys and prosecutors will advocate for a sentence, but the agreement means Kemp could not face any prison time.
But because Kemp pleaded guilty to a felony, the State Liquor and Cannabis Board will review whether he can still be part owner of 2 pot shops. Firefighters are battling a wildfire in Chelan County. The Second Creek wildfire is burning on about 63 acres. Photos from Department of Natural Resources show smoke rising near power lines about 8 miles north of Leavenworth. This comes as Washington's snowpack is melting at an alarming rate. KIRO Newsradio's meteorologist Ted Beener.
All of western Washington now is abnormally dry, and if you look at the central and northern Cascades, they are currently in moderate drought.
Which means the fire season could be a rough one. We are seeing some of the lowest tides of the year in the Puget Sound region. KIRO 7 TV found people checking out critters that are usually covered up by the water at Alki Beach.
Lots and lots of crabs. I love the seagrass. Herring eggs and moon snails.
I'm really revved up about this purple starfish. He's gorgeous.
This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine today with highs around 80. It is 74 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news, serving Western Washington and the world with the KIRO Newsradio App. Always streaming live on your smart speakers. You're listening to KIRO Newsradio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show with G. Scott and Ursula Reutin.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday, May 28th. Good morning, Ursula.
Good morning. Hey, what did we come to the conclusion? What do people say is their perfect temperature? Because you said lower 70s. I said 80 or 81 degrees. It's got to hit 80.
Yeah, most folks are in the 70s, between 70 and 75. You had outliers at 68. Outliers were 81 and 82. Those are outliers. But for the most part, in my friend group, I got a 75, I got a 78, a 78.
I could live with 78. 78 would be great.
Yeah.
All year, because that is warm enough to swim. So I'm all about, can you swim in that
Now,
weather?
that's a good point. That's a good point. So, yeah. That's it. Yeah.
Because 72, it's still a little chilly.
Yeah, a little chilly. Mm-hmm.
Hey, coming up at 11:30, we are going to do relationship myths. Does cheating necessarily mean the end of a relationship? We're going to hit that one and 8 other relationship myths coming up at 11:30.
Oh, some good stuff.
Text us, 888-973-5476, 888-973 KIRO. I know we hit some heavy topics today, and we've had some really deep, vulnerable discussions too. And a lot of you are sharing on our text line right now some of your own personal stories. And I just want to say thank you. That they trust us enough to share some of their deepest, darkest secrets and stories and how they're affected by some of the topics. And I know Brian in Bellevue, one of our favorite people on our text line, he's just saying, I want to crawl under a rock. There's too much hate in the news today and that kind of thing. I mean, and I get it. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But just want to say that.
Yeah.
Just appreciate you.
Good stuff. Agree to disagree. Brought to you by Garden Freaking Gutters.
One of these days, we just got to take off the gloves. Just really go at it.
All right, let's talk about the impacts of our pets on our relationships, and I guess it would be prospective partners. A recent survey found that 56% of dog owners would end a romantic relationship if their pet disapproved of that person. Basically, these people are valuing the happiness of their pet over other aspects of their life. Ursula, you own a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you were back in your dating days and you had a dog, and the dog was not into the guy that you were seeing. Would you take that as a sign and dump him?
I would definitely take that into consideration because the dog came first. I made a commitment to the dog. And let's just say it was Scooter and I'm meeting Mark for the first time. And if Scooter does not like Mark and Mark doesn't make an attempt to make Scooter appreciate him or work with Scooter to try to get on his good side, then I'm going to look at it as a character flaw. So I'm going to say, the dog came first. I understand that. Now, that sounds really shallow and ridiculous, but I tend to believe that animals are a good judge of character.
I totally believe that they are. And I'll go this far. if your animal doesn't like that person, I'm not saying that says a lot. But if your animal does like that person right away,
Yes.
that is saying that person has great energy. That means they have a loving, kind soul, and the animal recognizes that. Remember, the animal can't speak our language. It's all a vibe for them, so they feel it.
Okay, I do need to point out, though, that Scooter has been ultra protective of me. So much so that if someone gives me a hug, he'll start barking. Even to this day, at 15 years old, if someone gets too close to me, he is not comfortable with that. So I would also have to know that were the case. And again, if a potential partner were to show, hey, I understand, I need to work my way into Scooter's life too, and at least make the attempt, I would give him credit and I wouldn't kick him to the curb.
I think relationships can totally work out if one partner is like not an animal person. People are just different. And actually, shockingly, cat owners are worse. A Whisker survey finds that 62% of cat owners would end the relationship if their cat didn't approve of their partner. Ooh. Which, that's tough sledding, man. Because cats are picky. Like, I feel like it doesn't have to, like a dog can see into your soul. A cat might just find you not interesting. Like, screw that person. I have no interest in seeing them.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree on the cats.
Yeah,
right.
Cats, I would be a single person if it were based on cats because cats hate me. Cats see me coming and they're ready to claw at me.
All right, let's talk about park
they know I'm
access.
fearful of cats.
You ever paid $4 just to walk into a city park? Down in California in San Marino, it's like this ritzy LA suburb. That has been the rule for non-residents since the 1980s. So Lacey Park charges anyone who doesn't live in the city an entry fee. The city paused it after some wildfires last year, but brought it back in the fall. Gee, what do you think about exclusive park access only for city residents or paying to get in?
Only the city residents have to pay?
So if
everybody from outside
has to pay. The people who live there don't have to pay.
Boom. Okay.
Yes.
I love it. Absolutely love that. So you on your license says, oh, you live around this park? Come on in. Enjoy yourself. But somebody coming in from out of town, real quick, in a neighborhood, who is more likely to litter in the neighborhood? People that live there or people that don't live in a neighborhood?
People who are just pigs.
Yeah, people that live outside of the neighborhood are more likely to litter in the neighborhood. So, therefore, keep them park clean. Charge you if you want to come on in.
As I said in this morning's meeting, it sounds like an HOA for parks now. I'm sorry, but public parks are just that, for the public. It does not mean that it should be only for people who live in this particular city. I hate that idea. One of the things that I love when I go to Vancouver, BC, or when I go to Victoria, whenever I go to any new city, one of the things that I love doing is visiting their parks. I'm not a slob. I don't litter. I don't feel like I should pay a fee to go there, nor do I think we have so many gorgeous parks in Seattle and in this region. I wouldn't want people to have to pay to go to a park.
I love this. It's always like we have to pay to go to a good school. I love this so much. That let's do the same for schools. In your own neighborhood, let's get rid of all private schools. And in your neighborhood, if you live in that neighborhood, you can go to school for free. If you live outside of that neighborhood, you have to pay to go to that school.
I mean, it raises an interesting point because one, I think people would pay. Let's say you're a U.S. citizen, you'd pay $5 to get into Stanley Park. No problem. Venice does this. They call it tourist fees. They're not necessarily doing it to keep out the riffraff, which seems like what this place is doing. But if you're paying local taxes, right? If it is your local taxes that are maintaining that park, that are keeping it nice, and it's, let's say, Golden Gardens, where on a nice day like today, you're not going to be able to find a square inch of bare sand, I could see why I would want that to happen, right? Because why should I have to compete with all of these people who don't even live here, who don't pay for this park? And on the other hand, it seems like probably the most ridiculously exclusive thing I've heard of ever.
Now, 425 just texted in, though, and said, I just got back from Maui. We went for a walk at Kapula Beach, public land. They enacted $20 parking fee For years, it was free parking, and we paid it because the coastal hike was well worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, this was everyone, though. Residents were not exempt.
Oh, interesting.
So that I can handle. It's
Mhm.
just saying exclusively for y'all here.
Yeah.
So now
none of you poors.
You poor people, you stay in your poor people park. Yeah, I don't like that.
Boy, I wish we could expand this park conversation.
Yes.
It's almost like what you have to pay to live in Seattle, right? Must make this amount of income. All right. Speaking of Seattle, our Keystone newspaper, the Seattle Times, I was noticing this last week when we were talking about some SEA airport conversations, and I look in the Seattle Times copy, and in every single instance, they refer to the airport as SeaTac.
Mm-hmm.
And Ursula, you know that publications are very intentional about what sort of terminology they use for publication. They have style guides that dictate it.
Mm-hmm.
So the Seattle Times is going with SeaTac. SEA says respect my pronouns. What are you going with?
I go with SeaTac.
Amen.
Just out of props, or maybe just because I know Perry Cooper is a friend of the show. I'll try to entertain the whole SEA thing. No one calls it SEA except for airport people.
Mm.
The vast majority of people that I know have always referred to it as SeaTac. SEA, it makes it sound like it's only Seattle. It's close. What about folks in Tacoma? What about this whole area? I think one of the things that does mess it up a little bit is there is a city of SeaTac as well. However, for me, I know in conversation, even though they want us to call it SEA, in conversation we call it SeaTac.
I say SEA even when I'm not on the show now. I'll tell you why. Because I don't want to get locked into that. I don't want to get locked into that feeling like, oh, well, I've always called it that. Now, there's some things in my life that I still need to get better at, as far as, oh, I've always done it this way.
Mm-hmm.
I need to be better. But okay, it's supposed to be called SCA now. I'm gonna call it SCA. I'm trying to get more into that. This is what. So even when I'm not here,
interesting,
not just on the air.
Yeah,
I say SCA.
Yeah,
because I don't know. I don't want to be like, oh, I've always called it SeaTac. It sounds better. Call it SeaTac. Now, is it easy to call it SeaTac?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yeah, but it's a dang lie. It's a dang lie, right? This is a common marketing thing that airports do. There are all these airports around the world, like Frankfurt Hahn, right? Okay, that's going to be in Frankfurt. No, it's 75 miles away. And I think that SEA is specifically doing this because nobody knows what TAC means, but everybody knows what SEA means. It's short for Seattle. But the reality is SeaTac is not. It's not close to Seattle. Like, if you're going to stay in an airport or in a hotel near the airport, you are not going back and forth to the city every day to do your recreation or have your fun.
Okay,
it's a lie.
Ebony and Tacoma and several others are thinking we're saying S and then the letter C-A. It's
S-E.
S-E-A. And the reason they're doing it is because L-A-X. I mean, the airport, the codes, when you look at it.
Airport codes.
Yes, exactly. So if you're going to Las Vegas or whatever, those are the airport codes, and SEA is SeaTac.
Should we call them the Santa Clara 49ers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, look, Payne Field, they also renamed to Seattle Payne Field International Airport. It's nowhere near Seattle. It's a lie. Just stop lying.
Shout out to my homie Allie in Tacoma. She had to let us know. Everybody know what the TAC mean. Come on now.
Oh yeah.
Don't
worldwide.
act. Don't act brand new.
Worldwide.
The TAC. Y'all know what the TAC mean.
Is there my posse's on Broadway equivalent for Tacoma? I don't think so. Nobody knows. Sorry, Tacoma.
Okay, on one last point, and someone just pointed this out. You call it SEA. Do you call it Gulf of Mexico? Gulf of America? What do you call it?
Ursula, I got to tell you.
Okay, I know. You're rounding third base. You're rounding third.
You be giving a voice to them folks sometimes. He said, "No, I call it what is supposed Gulf of Mexico." What'd you call it?
Gulf of Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Of course. Of course. But you can tell how someone votes, by the way. Where are you going? I'm going down to the Gulf of America this year for vacation. All right.
Gulf of America guy now.
Okay, let's move on to just a couple of those etiquette questions that we missed from the cut, the modern guide to etiquette. So, Ursula, this is on when you meet folks. This is in the category of strangers and friends. Don't ask where people live within 2 minutes of meeting them. What do you think about that? The idea is that this is, it's classist, basically. You're asking someone to identify their socioeconomic status based on their zip code.
I think if it comes up naturally in a conversation, I don't have an issue, and I don't count. I'm not looking at my watch. If it comes up before you've even asked their name, then I think that you've got some kind of agenda and you don't really care about them. You are more interested in their occupation and their checkbook. Or their bank account checkbook.
You know, I think that a lot of our default questions that we ask are trying to check the class or the socioeconomic status of the other. We say things like, hey, where's your husband? Or we say things like, are you married yet? Where do you live? What do you do for a living? Like a lot of our default questions. And so I'm glad you asked this, Chef, because what we need to do, all of us, we need to get better at really starting to ask questions that matter.
That are meaningful. Like you really care.
Like you really care.
Yes.
Like, where's your husband? It's crazy.
Let me give you one more here.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
In fairness,
that was that excuse was lame. I let that one go. That was lame.
One more about kids. They say you can discipline your friend's kids, but not a stranger. G. What do you think about that?
You can discipline your friend's kids, but not a stranger's kids?
Yes.
Oof. Ursula, both. I'm not touching that. I'm not touching a stranger's kids. I'm not disciplining a friend's kids. Stay away from all of that.
Yeah.
I welcome it.
I am not going to discipline someone else's child unless I'm asked for help.
Oh, my gosh.
Unless someone says, hey, I need some advice on this, or hey, can you help me out? Because my hands are full and one child is running down the street. Yeah. I'm gonna help with that. But how do you welcome it?
Are you kidding me? It's so refreshing to have another adult reinforce what you have already told your child like 10 times. Like, hey, knock it off, sit down, pay attention. Like, this happens all the time in baseball. My friends, if they tell Matthew, hey, you need to knock it off, you need to be doing this. Thank you. Another adult tells him, it's positive reinforcement. I appreciate it.
I think you are probably the rare exception of a parent that appreciates that.
Okay.
I'm not touching
Maybe I'm wrong, though. Text us.
I think we're too worried about offending people sometimes when we see kids just completely acting a fool. And there's a lot of parents who don't pay attention. Just don't care.
That part is true, for sure.
If kids are, if you're in a McDonald's, Ursula, if you're in a McDonald's and some kids over there hanging out together and they keep swearing, saying the F word and stuff, do you say something or you leave it alone?
I will say something.
You say something?
Yeah, in that case.
Boy.
Of course you would. I can completely imagine that.
I just be minding my business
I'm
way
gonna
too
say
much.
something.
You saying something?
Because at this point, it's affecting everybody.
All right. Coming up next here on the show, are we doing the whole myth thing about relationship, Ursula?
Yeah. Let's do it.
All right. We'll do that next. Gee Ursula.
This hour is brought to you by DUI Heroes, the first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO Newsradio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO Newsradio. on 97.3 FM and download the KIRO Newsradio app to listen anytime.
Hey there, I'm Phil Briggs, Navy veteran and host of CBS Eye on Veterans weekly radio show and podcast. And over the years, I've loved sharing military stories with my neighbor Greg, a battle-tested former Army Ranger. He's a barbecue master and always welcomes us over. As it's Military Appreciation Month, Navy Federal Credit Union wants all active duty, veterans, and family to know that they're always eligible to join. Because at Navy Federal, our members are the mission. Navy Federal is insured by NCUA.
For 70 years, we've been known as the Humane Society of the United States. But as the challenges animals face have grown, so have we. We are now called Humane World for Animals. And if you love animals, you're part of our world. Humane World for Animals. The end of animal cruelty.
Have you heard the saying, chuck in a truck? The guy running a roofing company out of his messy pickup? Well, here's the scary part. Washington doesn't require a test or experience to be a licensed roofer, and they definitely don't require a brick and mortar location. Chuck could be working out of his apartment with 0 employees, hiring random guys off the street. Yikes. And the SBA says 90% of roofers are out of business within 5 years. Jim here, Chief Roof Nerd at RoofSmart, where we do things right. We have a real location on Central Avenue in Kent and a team of 50 full-time roofing pros who actually know what they're doing. We're not some fly-by-night outfit. We've put down roots, or in our case, a cement foundation, so you'll always know where to find us. No disappearing acts, no cut corners, just top-quality work from people you can trust. That's RoofSmart. Come see for yourself, or call us at 206-487-4877, or visit us online at GetRoofSmart.com. That's 206-487-4877 or GetRoofSmart.com.
Are you trying to buy a new home, or are you a local real estate agent seeking financing for a client? We're all tired of dealing with banks, credit unions, and endless guidelines. Wouldn't it be nice to go back in time when we had common sense lending? Hi, I'm Scott Rureka, CEO of Legacy Group Capital based in Bellevue. We are one of the largest local private portfolio lenders in Washington. We've helped thousands of home buyers and real estate investors reach their financial goals by leveraging the Legacy Common Sense borrowing platform. What that means is we lend our own money, we make our own decisions. If your deal makes sense, we'll get it done. Whether you're purchasing a new piece of real estate or refinancing an existing loan, bridge loans, construction, or regular home loan, it doesn't have to be as difficult as banks and lenders make it. If you're trying to grow wealth through real estate acquisition, come talk to the experts in private lending.
Call 425-635-4700 or LegacyG.com. Legacy Group Capital, your common sense lender. LegacyG.com.
When the heat's in 11, cool AC would be heaven.
DayandNight.net.
Beat the rush. Act now before summer, because that heat's a real bummer.
DayandNight.net.
Even though our Northwest summers can be spectacular, there's always a long, hot stretch that makes everyone say, man, AC sure would be nice. Well, except for that one annoying friend who won't stop talking about how great his AC is. Hi, I'm Bruce with Day and Night Plumbing and Heating. You can stay comfortably cool when those hot temps arrive. This is the time to plan ahead and call us about installing a high-efficiency AC or heat pump. Or if you have an existing system, we'll come and service it. Make sure it's running efficiently and ready to cool when you need it.
Before the summer heat wave, keep your house cool and safe.
DayandNight.net.
Make sure your AC will keep you cool when the summer heat gets here. Save $50 on a pre-summer AC tune-up. When the heat's at 11, stay cool with Day and Night.
DayandNight.net.
If you're thinking about renovating an attic, spending more time in your sunroom, or building onto your home, a Carrier ductless unit is the perfect solution for climate control. It's efficient, quiet, and incredibly flexible when it comes to installation because there's no ductwork required. It's just one more way we're making your home totally comfortable.
Your local Carrier heating and cooling dealer will improve your home's comfort, air quality, and efficiency. Visit CarrierNorthwest.com to find the expert near you. Carrier, turn to the experts.
Apparently, I have the ankles of a 70-year-old person instead of a 45-year-old person.
This is Carrie,
and her love for gymnastics and dance was starting to take a toll on her body. There was a group of us that actually did adult gymnastics. I'm sure that wasn't good for my body either. So, of course, she sought treatment for those rapidly aging ankles. I started seeing a new podiatrist. Even those treatments weren't working. And that's when someone close to her recommended Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. It was my therapist that told me about Dr. Wagner. I did not know there was such a thing as stem cells. I started researching. I thought it was super fascinating. And how has the treatment worked so far? I used my crutches to leave the office. After that, I never used my crutches again. Whether it's a shoulder, hip, knee, or old ankles, consider stem cell therapy with Dr. Mark Wagner, MD, at Seattle Sports and Regenerative Medicine. Schedule your consultation at drmarkwagnermd.com. If I won the lottery, I would get stem cells from Dr. Wagner on every joint in my body.
KIRO News Radio 97.3 FM Northwest News. Now, the latest from KIRO News Radio and mynorthwest.com.
Good morning, I'm Heather Bosch. The greater Seattle area will reach the first 80-degree day of the year today. KIRO News Radio meteorologist Ted Beener.
Yet again, we're going to have our warmest temperatures of the year thus far. Higher pressure building over the Pacific Northwest that's going to have temperatures soaring up into the 80s.
That's not a record, but CBS's Vicki Barker reports.
The UN's climate agency says the world is on course to experience more record temperatures over the next 5 years, with a high likelihood that average warming will exceed the limit set by the Paris Climate Accords.
A climate-fighting law will make it more expensive for you to visit Hawaii.
It's the nation's first such law. Democratic Hawaii Governor Josh Green has signed legislation that imposes a 3% tax on hotel rooms and vacation rentals to raise money to address eroding shorelines, wildfires, and other consequences of climate change.
If we don't do proper destination management, if we don't keep our beaches properly tended to, if we don't make sure the parks are perfect, people will stop coming here.
The new tax comes nearly 2 years after a wildfire on Maui killed more than 100 people. Jim Crisula, CBS News.
The Trump administration is freezing all new student visa interviews at U.S. embassies and consulates so the State Department can go through their social media accounts. Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce.
We use every tool in our tool chest to vet anyone coming in who wants to come into this country. And in order to do so, it has to apply for a visa to gain access to our nation.
This follows several on-campus protests against the war in Gaza. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says a senior Hamas leader, Mohammed Sinwar, has been killed. More from CBS's Elizabeth Palmer.
There has been no confirmation from Hamas or anyone in the Arab world. He was thought to be a hardliner opposed to a ceasefire, so some analysts are thinking this may allow Hamas to be more open to a deal to release hostages, 23 of which are thought to be alive, and maybe even a truce that would allow some negotiating room. But we're just going to have to wait and see.
A Northwest blues legend takes a final bow.
Oh, baby, you just wait and see.
Bill Engelhard, better known as Little Bill, has died at the age of 86 near his home in Mountlake Terrace. He helped shape the rhythm and blues scene in Western Washington. Family members tell the News Tribune there will be a memorial July 13th. On Wall Street, the Dow is down 98 points, NASDAQ up about 3. From the Beacon Plumbing Traffic Desk in Seattle, a crash on I-5 at Northgate has all lanes northbound at I-5 closed and 2 lanes southbound now. WashDOT says the express lane reversal was delayed. There is a 7-mile backup. Good news, the semi has been moved and they're working to clean this all up. Your travel time, Everett to Seattle, 1 hour, 40 minutes. Federal Way to Seattle, half an hour. Renton to Bellevue, 34. Traffic brought to you by KIRO News Radio. This weather update brought to you by State Roofing and Exteriors. Sunshine with highs around 80. It's 74 in downtown Seattle. I'm Heather Bosch.
Your best source for local news. You're listening to KIRO News Radio, Northwest News.
This is the Gee and Ursula Show, and sometimes we just like to take a break from the news and talk about life. And in this case, we're going to talk about myths regarding relationships and do they need to die? The Guardian wrote about 8 of them that I would like to run past you, Gee, and then you weigh in. So one of the first ones that they mentioned is that cheating means the end of a relationship.
Disagree.
And that's what they say too.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So they say basically infidelity doesn't always spell the demise of a relationship. you can recover if you do a lot of introspection, probably a lot of therapy, and both commit to making the relationship a priority and trying to fix what happened.
Right.
Now, I will say, as someone who was the child in a relationship where there was infidelity, there are things that can be very damaging to your children as well. And so one of the things is if you don't get that therapy, or if you don't do a lot of introspection, or you don't commit to being better to each other necessarily, I mean, a lot of that anger ends up being absorbed by your children. I will say that.
I would also say, because I've seen a pair of grandparents that dealt with that very early in their relationship, and they had a great relationship, but I think the intimacy was lost. Like, you can still have a relationship, but it will be fundamentally changed.
This is true. This is true. Unless you have done a lot of hard work and come to an understanding that you're not going to keep bringing it up. But you cannot force the partner that did not cheat should not be told to get over it. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's got to be at their time.
Yeah.
I would say. Okay, so that would be. So breaking up or divorcing means the relationship was a failure.
Disagree. And I disagree because, look, it might have just been a season. It might have lasted 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 25 years. You might have gotten children out of it together. You might have gotten a career out of it together. You may have moved to a certain. Every relationship doesn't always have to be, oh, that was a failure. There can be success in a relationship that did not continue to make it.
You're exactly right. And they say ending a relationship can signify personal growth and the conclusion of a meaningful chapter, not necessarily failure. You nailed it. Okay, how about this one?
What do you got?
Because you often hear you only have one soulmate. Like, this person was my soulmate. Do you believe that?
No. And the reason why I don't believe that is because a lot of times we are out here searching for that someone, for that someone, and for that someone. And then you find that someone, and then you find another one, and you find another one. And Ursula, you find yourself realizing, like, wait a minute. The last 3-4 relationships that I was in, they all kind of ended the same way, in the same type of arguments that are happening. Because it's coming from inside the house. It's you. Right? Like, and what I mean by that, you're talking about finding a soulmate. You find yourself first.
Yes.
Once you completely find yourself, it's easier to find that soulmate.
Oh, that's so good. That is so good. Yeah, so they say that the belief in a singular soulmate can actually harm relationships because in reality, a bunch of different people can be compatible with you. And this is true. Yeah. Okay, what about this idea that you have to have sparks and you have to have a lot of chemistry right away if you're going to have a relationship?
Totally disagree. I mean, to quote my great friend Ursula, who was at Polyesters. I mean, it wasn't a sparkity spark. It was a spark.
Well, part of the problem was I was in a relationship with somebody else.
That's what I'm saying.
So yeah,
it couldn't get that sparky.
No, it didn't. Was there an initial attraction?
Yes.
I think there obviously has to be an initial attraction.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But you didn't give him the number.
Gigantic
he found
fireworks.
the number.
Yeah, because the phone book existed. But yeah, they say basically lasting relationships often develop through emotional safety, shared values, mutual effort. So it doesn't have to be this just giant fireworks display right off the bat.
Right.
I love that. How about this idea? It's a myth, they say, that it's bad to argue. I mean, obviously, I'm going to guess that you know that this is a myth.
Yeah, I think that's a myth.
Yes. And I will say this, though. It's not bad to argue, but it is bad to argue ugly.
Yep.
It is bad to be so disrespectful that your words can never be taken. You think your words can be taken back. they might be forgiven, but they're not forgotten. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't you say? I mean, like, there are things that you can say that, you can apologize, or you say, I'll do better, but you've done the harm.
Yep.
And each and every time, that's going to be an emotional scar that just keeps getting, it's like a wound that just keeps getting tougher and tougher to recover from.
Watch what you say in heated times. If you're one of those that knows that you can't control your mouth and what comes out of it, if I were you, I just would choose not to engage. But if you're somebody that you can control.
Yeah. I mean, there's some people who just really thrive in chaos and just don't know what a relationship is like without that constant.
And they kind of need
friction.
that, like,
energy. Are we bringing up Pierce County, King County? Oh.
No.
No.
Okay.
Chaos
I've got two more, though. So these are the last two myths.
What do you got?
You need to be best friends with your partner.
Ooh. Okay, Ursula, I the way you said it, I'm assuming that this is the first one that I disagree.
Okay. Because they say this is a myth.
I think that there needs to be a special place for your partner. So when they say best, it doesn't have to be this is the person that I talk to the most about this or talk to the most about that. But I think that significant other has to play a starting role, has to be the number one player, has to be a P1 in your life. You know what I mean?
P1. That's a radio terminology. Okay. Final one.
Wait, what you think on that? On a best friend?
I mean, I think you have to. Best friends, you can have more than one best friend.
True.
And my girlfriends offer me something a little bit different that I may not necessarily get in my relationship with Mark.
Yep.
And that's perfectly fine. Sleeping in separate beds means you are in trouble. Your relationship is in trouble. Do you agree with that?
I disagree. And by the way, I disagree now because of doing this show.
Yes.
And learning from a lot of you, finding out. Like, Ursula, if you would have asked me this 3-4 years ago, I'd be like, oh yeah, your marriage is in trouble.
Yes. And there was a time when we were sleeping in separate beds because we had separate hours. There was also a point in time when I was working a lot here as a news director that I told you that my kids would get in the bed.
Y'all back sleeping in the bed again?
We're back in the bed. You know what? You know what was the life changer?
I didn't know that.
Oh, God, yeah. This has been years. You know what was a life changer?
Told us? What? The new house?
King-size bed.
Oh. Well, this is news to the Gee and Ursula Show.
Yes,
I still thought you and Scooter was kicking it.
No, and Scooter has been out of the bed. Keep the dog out of the bed.
Okay.
It's been good for the marriage.
Is separate bathrooms good?
And I prefer them.
If you can.
I wish. Yes.
If you're lucky enough.
Nick, any of those things stand out to you?
I think it's weird if you separate the beds or the bathrooms. I don't know. I never grew up with that. It's just like, feels like so 19th century to me.
All right. Coming up next, your text message feedback. And then we have Ursula's Words to Live By.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
You ever try fixing your car and realize you're missing that one part? Yeah, been there. That's why eBay's my go-to. They've got millions of parts, guaranteed to fit. I'm talking brake pads for when yours have seen one too many miles of stop and go. Oil filters, because you don't mess around with your engine care. Even got this cold air intake on my watch list. I might just go for it. To keep the ride cool and your DIY streak hot. Find all the parts you need at prices you'll love. Guaranteed to fit every time. eBay. Things. People. Love. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Ready to order.
Yes.
We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with a Capital One Saver card. So let's just get one of everything.
Everything? Fire everything. The Capital One Saver card is at table 27, and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu.
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
An illegal alien from Guatemala charged with raping a child in Massachusetts. An MS-13 gang member from El Salvador accused of murdering a Texas man. A Venezuelan charged with filming and selling child pornography in Michigan. These are just some of the heinous migrant criminals caught because of President Donald J. Trump's leadership. I'm Kristi Noem, the United States Secretary of Homeland Security. Under President Trump, attempted illegal border crossings are at the lowest levels ever recorded, and over 100,000 illegal aliens have been arrested. If you are here illegally, you're next. You will be fined nearly $1,000 a day, imprisoned, and deported. You will never return. But if you register using our CBP Home app and leave now, you could be allowed to return legally. Do what's right. Leave now. Under President Trump, America's laws, border, and families will be protected.
Sponsored by the United States Department of Homeland Security.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today. 1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Donate your car today at carsforkids.org. That's cars with a K. Your car, running or not, can be picked up as soon as the next day. You'll get a maximum tax deduction and a vacation voucher.
1-877 Cars for Kids. KARS Cars for Kids. 1-877 Cars for Kids. Donate your car today.
Now accepting donations of land, homes, buildings, or any kind of real estate.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
My car is making this noise. Sometimes it's like doot doot, and sometimes it's like grrr.
Do you have a dash light on?
Oh yeah.
Then we don't have to listen for clues. With the free Fix Finder service, we can read a check engine, ABS, or maintenance light to find the likely fix and even recommend a local shop if you need one.
So you don't need to hear the grrr.
Not with Fix Finder. Everything you need, nothing you don't.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Guys, thinking about testosterone replacement therapy? Revive Men's Health can help you get started if you're ready to book your free T-check. Visit revivemenshealth.com. That's Revive, REVIBE, menshealth.com.
Hi, I'm Keith Dashafee, owner of Pella Windows and Doors of Western Washington. We're celebrating 100 years of Pella excellence with an offer as strong as our legacy. Get $100 off every window, $100 off every door, and enjoy 100 days with no interest and no payments. It's our way of saying thank you for letting us be a part of your homes for a century. Visit PellaPNW.com to schedule your free consultation today. Pella, 100 years strong.
Good morning, everybody. It is the Gee and Ursula Show. It is time to get on through these text messages, and then we'll have Ursula's words to live by. We talked a lot about etiquette, pet peeves. 206 says, one thing that drives me crazy is seeing people out and about with pajama. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe you said this. Or let me finish it. I apologize because, watch this, 206. One thing that drives me crazy is seeing people out and about with pajama bottoms on. It just feels like there's a lack of class. I don't know who you are, 206, but you must be in the building right there because before I came in, that was the exact conversation that I was having. I'm not going to say with who because I want to bust them out. But you see them in the airport. They got some pink pajamas on, and they always got some writing on the booty. Put some clothes on. Tired of you wearing pajama bottoms.
What would make you assume people have class or that everyone should have it?
Well, and here's the other question. Are you sure they're pajama bottoms? Because now I have a pair of sweats that might look like pajama bottoms, but they're actually sweats, and now I'm considering, do I take them on the cruise or not?
Do they say juicy on the booty?
No. They say love.
On the booty?
They have writing?
They do have writing? Ursula, Ursula, trust your boy. Don't have no writing on the booty.
If I ever catch my daughter wearing those, oh my God.
No, it's on the sweatshirt part. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Shane in Gig Harbor says, pet peeve when people come to my house for a barbecue and expect to eat my brisket and drink my beer after showing up empty-handed. Come on, man.
Yeah. Mike Bible hit me up yesterday and said he found out that I gave him a compliment.
Yes.
So
Gee, you've actually given him several compliments.
I know.
He's out of the doghouse now when it comes to arms swinging when he goes to a barbecue.
But in 20-something years, the only thing he's brought is deviled eggs, potato salad.
Oh, my God, you are so petty. Dude.
Sarah in the 360 says, I'm a millennial and live by Emily Post. Call me an old soul, but I was raised by a Southern mother, and etiquette is everything. We had to properly set the table every night. Write thank you cards with 2 days, RSVP.
Wow.
Oh, no, excuse me. Write thank you cards within 2 days, RSVP, and absolutely no white shoes or pants after Labor Day. She wasn't strict, but it was important, and I'm thankful as an adult. I even address all of my mail with Mr. or M.
Wow, Sarah, I am impressed. Okay, let's keep talking about rules because the fashion rules of white clothing. Patricia on Mercer Island says, I'm a boomer and I wear white before Memorial Day. I love white pants.
Come on, Patricia.
Me too.
Amber in Kitsap says, yes, I still honor the tradition of white because at Memorial Day, it's to honor the white flags of peace. And Labor Day is to honor the workers and factories who could only wear their dress whites clothing on holidays. If you understand what it really is about, it's a beautiful thing to honor.
On the second round of protests, Rob and Puyallup said, how are you all going to call something the rattle in Seattle, then be like, I can't believe there was violence, with a fat graphic of brass knuckles on the rattle in Seattle merchandise, no less. So to clarify, the rattle in Seattle was by the Christian conservative groups.
Oh. Would you discipline other people's kids? Lisa Samamish says, 100% scold strangers' children if they are impacting my children. Think parents ignoring their child, pushing my child at the park, I'll also scold the parent.
And Lisa, I can vibe with you. I get it.
Lisa.
If they're impacting your kids, yes.
I bet you.
I'm not going to just insert myself if it's bothering no one other than the parent and child. I'm not going to insert myself. But if it's impacting other kids, then I'm inserting myself. Yes.
I bet you Lisa be yelling at the kids at the Trader Joe. No. Lisa, you know, that Trader Joe right there in Sammamish, I used to shop at that one. All right, Ursula, it's now time for your words to live by.
And here's just one very simple one. One of the truest signs of maturity is the ability to disagree with someone while still remaining respectful. Sometimes it's just really hard to do, but it's something that we should always strive for.
Yep. Good stuff, Ursula. All right, Nick, what you got for us today, man?
Well, sure, there's manners that you need for etiquette on par while you're meeting someone new you maybe met across the bar, but I'd give people a break today who might have cranky moods, who aren't used to lower 80s that could change their attitude. Feeling hot, hot, hot. But I'm ready for the shorts and t-shirt season's early start, looking back at winter days whose colder shoulder broke my heart. At least it never tried cheating on me or offering something poly like with fall or spring. That would have been kind of weird.
And you really mixed a few things in there. By the way, I love this song. This is
well, Buster like, Poindexter there.
On every cruise ship, like usually on sail away days. Boom, 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 boom.
There's no way.
That's like a conga line song right
Ursula,
there.
Ursula.
Uh-huh.
There's no way in the world I'm dancing to this. I feel like if I go on a cruise and I dance to this, when I come home, there's going to be an AARP.
Okay, Nick, my party.
Yeah.
You're bringing this song out.
I gotta ask though, G, are you joining a conga line if there's a party?
No.
Oh, gee.
No. And Nick, do me a favor.
Yeah.
I need you to play this song at around 7:30, 8 o'clock at Ursula's party.
Okay.
Play it at that time.
And I'll make sure I say this is G's request right here.
We'll do an encore.
Our good friend Lisa Samamish was listening. All right. Thanks, Ursula. Good show. Thanks, Chef. Thank you, Nick.
You too.
Hey, the Jake and Spike Show, they're coming in next. Stick around. We appreciate you for listening. Love you for that. And as always, be kind.
Hope you had as much fun as we have. So long, everybody.
The first place you turn to for breaking news.
Protest outside City Hall.
KIRO News Radio.
James Lynch begins our team coverage live at City Hall.
Now, we are told by SPD that 4 people have been arrested for assault. For more on the counter-protesters, we go to Scott Carty.
See a group of another 10 officers come down the steps.
Closures now extended from Washington closer to the stadiums.
KIRO News Radio on 97.3 FM. And download the KIRO News Radio app to listen anytime.
Hey, Spike O'Neill for Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens. About 2 months ago, I finally given up to the fact that I wasn't as young as I used to be, and my eyeballs were not as young as I used to be. It didn't work as well as I always had perfect vision in my life, but I noticed deterioration. So I went to the folks at Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens, had a full eye exam. They do amazing work, and it was determined that by their very excellent staff, I had the beginnings of cataract, and I was a perfect candidate for refractive lens exchange, RLE surgery. Now, the folks at Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens have done over 80,000 successful lens replacement surgeries. So I was in great hands. My care team from start to finish put me at ease, answered all my questions. The procedure was easy. I was in and out in less than an hour, and within a couple of weeks, my recovery was complete. I've got 20/10 vision. Colors are brighter, more focused. I'll never need readers again, and I will never develop a cataract. They are the future of vision over 45. Give the folks at Sharp Vision, Modern LASIK and Lens a call, 425-451-2020. That's 425-451-2020, or online at sharp-vision.com, sharp with an e-vision.com, official eye care providers of Sounders FC.
KIRO FM and HD1, Tacoma, Seattle. Choke Points with Chris Sullivan.
What burning questions do you have? You can help drive the conversation by going to mynorthwest.com or text Choke Points to 888-973-5476.
Tuesdays and Thursdays on Seattle's Morning News.
Hey, it's Mike Rohn. If I have a choice, I like to do business with companies that actually stand for something. That's why I switched from Verizon to Pure Talk. No offense to Verizon, I'm sure they stand for something. I just don't know what it is. Pure Talk, on the other hand, is a veteran-owned company that supports our military in a big way, and I appreciate